Chapter 1. Regressor's First Day. What's happening? We were just on our way to a workshop. Director Kim, with half his hair scraped off, looks around and stands up. I try to recall my memories, figuring out where we were in time. The first day? It's the first day we landed in this bizarre world. I remember how we ended up here. We were in an SUV, going to the workshop, then a landslide. We got caught in a landslide. And then something flashed suddenly. It's a 50-year-old memory, so it's a bit hazy. I can't remember clearly. Hey, Deputy Manager CO. Now that I've regressed, how should I live? Deputy Manager CO. Usually, in regression novels, people live while using their future knowledge. But all I know about the future is trivial stuff like Mr. Ju's daughter being born 30 years later. CO Eun-hyun, Deputy Manager. Section Chief John. Sorry, I was a bit startled. I snap out of my daydream at Section Chief John Myung-hoon shouting. Deputy Manager. It's a title I haven't heard of in so long. I couldn't help but be startled. Then, I remember the face I haven't seen in a long time. Section Chief John Myung-hoon. John Myung-hoon. The nephew of John Myung-cheol, the executive director of the company I worked for, SJD Company. He's 32, 3 years older than me, but had already snagged the section chief position through nepotism. I remember disliking him quite a bit 50 years ago. But thinking of it as a face I haven't seen in 50 years, I'm actually quite happy to see him. After all, isn't he a fellow countryman from my homeland that I'm seeing again after 50 whole years? It's time to get along well, I thought. Swish. Suddenly, Section Chief John slaps me across the face. Deputy Manager CO, you bastard, didn't you drive the car properly? I stand there dazed, having been slapped, and quickly erase the thought of him as a fellow countryman. I had forgotten. This guy is a bastard. You bastard. It's because of you that we're in this mess. Stranded. This bastard. It's when John Myung-hoon is about to charge at me in anger that Chief O stands up and stops him. Look here, that's enough. That landslide wasn't something Deputy Manager CO could have done anything about. I remember that incident from 50 years ago. Yes, I was definitely assigned the role of driving the company SUV. Aren't you angry, Chief? Because of this jerk, Deputy Manager CO, we're in this disaster. Where are we now? And where did our SUV go? We're stranded here because of this guy. And then, I remember, I definitely dozed off while driving. But the reason I was dozing off was John Myung-hoon. That guy dumped work on me the day before the workshop. Work he had been putting off, forcing me to stay up all night. If you were going to doze off, you should have handed the wheel to someone else. What kind of mess is this? Thinking about it again. Wasn't John Myung-hoon originally the one in charge of driving? That's right. Originally, John Myung-hoon was supposed to drive. But he, wanting to hit on the female employees in the back seat, forcibly put me in the driver's seat. This stupid bastard. We're stranded because of him. The memories from 50 years ago are coming back clearly. Back then, I was so flustered and didn't understand what was happening. So, unwittingly, I apologized to John Myung-hoon. I even thought it was my fault. But looking back on that memory from 50 years ago, has John Myung-hoon never felt anything like conscience or shame? I definitely asked John Myung-hoon and the female employees a few times to take the wheel for a while. But John Myung-hoon, who refused to drive, also prevented the female employees from driving, even though he knew I was sleepy due to overnight work. As the deputy manager, I couldn't ask the chief and director to drive. I had to drive for 4 hours without rest despite being sleepy because of John Myung-hoon. So, Section Chief John, I have something to say. Look at him, acting all high and mighty. Yeah, since we're stranded because of Deputy Manager CO, if you have any conscience, you should apologize. I was extremely sleepy, yes. But to my recollection, I drove the car correctly until the end, even fueling myself with coffee. When the landslide happened, I tried to avoid it. But it was too big to evade, and our car was swept away as it was. I definitely tried to stop and reverse the car when I saw dirt falling in front of us. But the side of the mountain next to us almost completely collapsed. It was a disaster I couldn't have avoided no matter how much I tried. Section Chief John, I understand you're angry, but it doesn't seem like the time to blame someone. This guy, giving lectures in front of who? You don't even know what you did wrong. Sigh. I take a deep breath. In the life where I didn't know about regression. For 50 years, I learned how to endure while living tenaciously. Learning to endure when strong bandits trampled over me and took my money. Learning to endure when vicious martial artists insulted me. Learning to endure when local officials took everything I had, even things I didn't have, to collect taxes. Yes, in front of those I couldn't handle, enduring was the truth. But, hey. What? Hey, CO Eun-hyun, you bastard, what now? Bowing down unnecessarily in front of those I can handle is not what a man does. I learned that too. I said it wasn't my fault. Enough is enough. Chief, let go of me. This guy is really... Thud. John Myung-hoon charges at me and strikes my face. But as soon as he attacks me, I step forward and headbutt him. Boom. Ah, in my past life. How many times have I been beaten by martial artists? How many times have I been beaten while gathering herbs in the mountains and encountering bandits? How many times have I been beaten when a band of robbers invaded during a famine? Beaten, beaten, and beaten again. During that senseless violence, I learned something that John Myung-hoon and others didn't have. Violence. Boom. Thump. Boom. As soon as the first headbutt connects, I charge and mercilessly pummel John Myung-hoon. Wait. You bastard. I said. It wasn't me. When beating someone, when you hit someone in the face, the person being hit feels an immense sense of fear. The sight obscured by a fist, and the pain that follows in that moment. The terror of the merciless attacker. I punch around the eyes of John Myung-hoon to obscure his vision. If you don't know what you did wrong, at least keep your mouth shut. With every punch, the grudges I have against John Myung-hoon, without even realizing it, seem to be refreshingly resolved. Even though 50 years have passed, the vicious bullying John Myung-hoon inflicted on me and the company was still unforgettable. I did something wrong. Sigh. By the time an apology came out of the arrogant John Myung-hoon's mouth, I stopped beating him and looked around. Director Kim, Chief O, Deputy Manager Kong, Deputy Manager O, Manager Kim. Everyone is looking at me with fearful eyes. Among them, Director Kim speaks to me with a trembling voice. Deputy Manager CO, no matter what, beating a fellow colleague to that extent. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, but I was so angry at the moment. I apologize for startling everyone. And after all, I was the driver, so I apologize for not doing more at that time. I bow neatly to Director Kim and the other employees and apologize. In fact, except for Director Kim, I will see none of the other people again. But, Director Kim, I will stay together with. Director Kim, if you learn martial arts, you will reach the pinnacle of the world. Of course, only in the world of martial arts. Even though I have returned to the past, I gave up on the idea of joining a cultivation sect. What cultivation sect? I don't have that ability. The ability, also known as spiritual roots or spiritual nature. Without it, it's impossible to learn the methods of immortal practitioners or even to sense the spiritual energy they cultivate. If there is something I wish for in this life, I hope I get even a little more opportunity to work harder than in my previous life. In the previous life, after Director Kim learned martial arts and left, he would come to drink with me occasionally. Even that stopped completely after he reached the peak of his skills. But this life is different. If I actively support Director Kim, maybe some benefits will fall to me. To do so, I need to be good to him from now on. Right? Everyone is in a confusing situation, and Section Chief John pushed too hard. Of course, Deputy Manager CO also reacted too harshly. Apologize. Yes, Director. You are right. After bowing to Director Kim again, I help Section Chief John up and say, I'm sorry, Section Chief John. I was too harsh. I truly apologize. You son of a... As I show humility again, John Myung-hoon, who seems to have regained his spirit, glares at me. But as my eyes turn fiercely cold, he eventually avoids my gaze and shuts his mouth. Anyway, it looks like a forest for now. How about we walk out and find a nearby village? Director Kim looks around and suggests. The sky is dyed crimson, looking like the sun would set soon, and the wind is getting colder. Logically, Director Kim's words make sense. But, in this place, conventional wisdom must be discarded. In a world where cultivators become immortals and fly around, and martial artists fight for wealth and honor. That is this world, and the forest we have fallen into. I recall the memories from 50 years ago and think of the name of the forest. Ascension Path, ascending to immortality. It's said to be the best place for many demons and cultivators to ascend to immortality. A place where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathers the most. There are no villages, cities, or states near Ascension Path. Therefore, what Director Kim is trying to do is meaningless. What's more important right now is, night is coming. We need to start a fire. I finish my thoughts and speak to Director Kim. Director, do you have signal? It seems the signal is dead. I think if the signal is dead, it will be hard to get rescued and hard to find our location. Since it's getting dark, instead of looking for a village we don't know the location of, it might be better to prepare to stay here tonight. Hearing my words, Section Chief John, who had been quiet, refutes softly. What are you talking about? Deputy Manager CO. On the contrary, it's more dangerous at night, so we need to find a village. In my opinion, it's more dangerous to move recklessly. How about this? I point to a tall tree nearby. Why don't you go up that tree and see if there's a village or even a road nearby? If there's nothing around, how about we do as I say? Go up that tree. Who's going to climb it? You, Deputy Manager CO. Well, if no one else knows how to climb a tree, then he'll do it. I nod easily and grab the trunk of the tallest nearby tree, slowly climbing up. I once encountered a wild boar while picking herbs in the mountains. At that time, I climbed a sturdy tree nearby in a life-or-death situation. Modern people don't usually climb trees, but having experienced all sorts of hardships in my previous life before returning, I easily climbed to the top of the big tree. What do you see? Deputy Manager CO. Below, Director Kim shouts. As expected, the vicinity is an endless forest. There are no roads or villages, let alone any traces of humans. Rather, monsters and demons are probably swarming among those trees. Instead of shouting back from the tree, I pretend to look around for a while and then climb back down. Huh, Deputy Manager CO. You're really good at climbing trees. That tree looked about 11 meters high. By the way, what kind of tree is this? It looks unfamiliar, like it's not from around here. Director Kim pats me on the shoulder, and Manager O looks curiously at the tree I had climbed. I dust off my hands and tell them what I saw. There are no roads or villages nearby. Huh, that's strange. Even if we were swept away by a landslide, there should be a highway nearby. Director Kim strokes his chin as if it's strange, and Section Chief John looks at me suspiciously. Deputy Manager CO, did you really see properly? Are you sure you're not just saying there's nothing there? On purpose. Why would I lie about that? I'd rather sleep in a house than camp in the forest. If you don't believe me, Section Chief John, you can climb up and look for yourself. Section Chief John backs off with a face like he had eaten something bitter. I think even if we explore the surroundings, we should first set up a base and light a fire, since it's getting dark. That makes sense. Then, let's look for our SUV too. We were swept away by a landslide in the car, but logically, our car should be nearby. Director Kim claps his hands and says, but this is a place where common sense doesn't apply. Our SUV is gone. It won't be anywhere. How about looking for the car and sleeping in it? There are a lot of supplies in the car since we were going on a workshop. This workshop was practically a picnic. So, there were lots of camping tools and food loaded in the SUV. However, the car is gone. Of course, I know because I returned to the past, but they wouldn't believe me if I said the car is gone. Instead of draining my energy trying to convince them, it's better to just let them look. Then let's split into teams. One team will look for a place to stay, and another team will look for the car. Let's meet back here before the sun completely sets. I suggest dividing into teams. I, Deputy Manager O, and Manager Kim are in the team looking for a place to stay. Director Kim, Section Chief John, Chief O, and Deputy Manager Kong are in the team looking for the car. We split up and look around. Deputy Manager CO. You said to look for a place to stay, but how do you usually find such a place? Deputy Manager O cautiously asks. She seems a bit awkward because I beat up John Myung-hoon. Sleeping in the mountains or forests is dangerous. Wild animals and beasts can attack, and if you light a fire just anywhere, it could cause a forest fire. The best thing would probably be a small cave. Like that place over there. Oh my, a cave? You found it right away? You're lucky. Of course, the cave I had naturally led them to was one I had visited 50 years ago. In my past life, it was a refuge I had barely found after wandering for hours. To Deputy Manager O and Manager Kim, it seems like good luck, but in reality, it's not a coincidence, but an inevitability. Even in my past life, it was the perfect place to stay without any danger inside. I look at the cave and gather twigs and leaves from nearby. Wow, Mr. CO, you're really skilled. Did you do something like Boy Scouts? Well, something like that. Although it isn't Boy Scouts, but rather a 50 years experience in Old Scouts. We can light the fire later with Director Kim's lighter. Shall we gather some firewood for the bonfire? Oh my, it feels like when I went to a training camp as a kid. Right. It feels just like that time. The two female employees chatter happily as they join me in collecting dry sticks and branches for firewood. Later, as the sun is setting. Now, let's slowly head back to the clearing we were at earlier. The others will be gathering there too. Alright, yes. I head back to the clearing with the two female employees. Soon after, we are reunited with Director Kim, Chief O, Section Chief John, and Deputy Manager Kong. Did you find the SUV? Director Kim shakes his head with a gloomy expression. Chief O and Section Chief John also have worried looks on their faces. Deputy Manager Kong Min, he also speaks with a tense face. There's no sign of it anywhere. We circled around looking for it, but it's like it vanished into thin air. Logically, if the car was swept away by a landslide, why are we out of it, and the car gone? She looks around with a worried expression, as if the forest itself is frightening. There's nothing we can do now. We found a place to spend the night, let's stay there. We'll continue the detailed search tomorrow. Okay. The six of them follow me to the cave with somber faces. Oh my, what's this? Mr. CO made it. CO Eun-hyun is really capable. Did he live in the wild or something? Deputy Manager Kong Min, he is surprised by the windbreak and cave door I made. Chief Oh Hyun-suk quietly expresses his admiration and praises me. Director Kim also nods in satisfaction, and John Myung-hoon. He seems unsatisfied but too tired to say anything, just enters. Director, the lighter please. Oh, right. Director Kim takes out a lighter from his pocket and lights the dry sticks I had gathered. We sit around the fire inside the cave. The smoke perfectly escapes through the hole I had made in the windbreak. Wow, what a situation we're in. This is hardly logical. Everyone sits with gloomy expressions, seemingly worried. That's when it happened. Gurgling. The sound came from Manager Kim Yun's stomach. Her face turns red with embarrassment. Oh, haha, it's okay. We all missed dinner. I grin and take out berries I had picked while gathering branches. Everyone must be hungry. Try these. I picked them earlier. Are these safe to eat? They're not poisonous, are they? Jean Myung-hoon, his tension easing, casually asks me. I smile and eat one of the berries. I learned about herbs when I was young. I know what's safe to eat and what's not. Although saying when I was young is a bit of a stretch, I had indeed learned it in the past. Seeing me eat the berries without hesitation, Kim Yun also cautiously tries one. Wow, these taste like raw chestnuts. They're crunchy, right? I picked plenty, so everyone can have some. Watching this, Director Kim and Deputy Manager Oh start eating the berries I had picked. Deputy Manager Kong and Chief Oh also happily ate them. Only John Myung-hoon looks at the berries with displeasure and lies down first, claiming he's tired. Haha, this is something. We should be serious, but thanks to Deputy Manager Co, we're having a good time. I always knew from the company how diligent he is. I heard he was tired from driving because he worked the night shift the day before. Our deputy manager is really diligent. Thanks to Deputy Manager Co, it feels like we're camping. Indeed. We all spend the night in a lively and friendly atmosphere. I too laugh heartily, chatting with my colleagues. It's a night to laugh and chat because it might be our last. The next morning, as soon as I smell the dawn air, I wake up earlier than anyone else. Memories from 50 years ago begin to come back vividly. The first day, after wandering through the forest all night, we barely found the cave and collapsed. The next morning, it came. Despite 50 years passing, the fear, shock, and pain from that time is still vividly terrifying. I open the windbreak outside the cave and start heading out. It's just before dawn. I wander nearby, gathering herbs good for stopping pain and bleeding. The herbs are in incredible condition, thanks to the forest full with energy from the heaven and earth spiritual energy. These are more like spiritual herbs than just medicinal ones. And after a while, the owner of this territory arrives. With a leap, a creature as big as a house. With 3 tails and eyes burning with blue fire, it's a white-furred fox. Shiver. The intimidation of the forest's owner and the events from 50 years ago make my body tremble with fear. However, having experienced the future is an enormous advantage in itself. Greetings to the owner of the forest. I stutter, biting my trembling lips, and slowly bow to the fox. Once, twice, 3 times. It's the triple bow required when meeting the owner of the forest. The fox, as large as a 2-story house, looks at me with its fiery blue eyes and speaks. A unique scent from a human. In my thousands of years, I've never encountered a human with such a scent. Click, clack, click. I tremble in anticipation of what this monstrous fox might do. That's when it happened. The fox's presence wakes the others. Director Kim, Chief O, Deputy Manager Kong, Section Chief John, Manager Kim, and Deputy Manager O emerge from the cave in turn. What follows is inevitable. A monster. It's a monster. At that, the monstrous fox rolls its large eyes in displeasure. You humans always seem to possess pitiful intelligence and terrible rudeness. Normally, I would tear off one limb from each of you. Shiver. But since one of you knows how to respect the owner of the forest, I will forgive you. The monstrous fox's gaze FAS on me, who had knelt and respectfully bowed. Everyone, show respect to the owner of the forest. Don't just stand there, kneel down. As I shout, the others blankly stand there and then awkwardly kneel down like me. The fox's eyes meet mine. A human who knows respect. I will not punish you hastily, but your scent is too unique. Drip, drip. From the corner of the fox's mouth, a sticky liquid flows. Saliva. One of your limbs. Let me taste just one. Then I will allow you to stay in my territory for a while. Translator notes. For new readers, I'm currently in the midst of updating old chapters, so there might be new, random terms suddenly popping up during your read, so I apologize for that. The biggest random change should be that I'm changing Sir Chong-ho to Azure Tiger Saint. Chapter 2, Scattering Destiny 1. Deputy Manager Co. What is this? What is that? Director Kim and Deputy Manager Kong each whisper. But I'm more focused on the drool of the fox falling in front of my eyes than on that. A wise human among the pack, I shall not harm recklessly. However, if you wish to stay in my territory, a price must be paid. One of you must offer me a limb to temporarily acknowledge your residence. Who will sacrifice their limb? Right. Since it has come to this, I will offer it. Trembling, I stretch out my left arm. In my past life, when I knew nothing, everyone screamed at the sight of the fox, and everyone was left dying with their arms and legs torn apart, eaten by the fox in its fury. Surviving that was a miracle in itself. But now, I know the etiquette of the forest and have gained the fox's favor. Not everyone's limbs. Not all limbs. Just one person's limb. Only one of them needs to be offered. Even that will be healed by the cultivators who will arrive in 2 days. A wise human indeed. I acknowledge your sacrifice, so I shall taste it as painlessly as possible. The fox opens its wide mouth and bites into my arm. Ah, arg, arg. My flesh is torn apart by its large teeth. Bones crushed, blood vessels ruptured. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Snap, rip. After chewing on my arm for a while, the fox violently tears it off my body. Ow, arg, ow. I writhe in pain, half out of my mind, and grab a handful of pain relief herbs I had prepared in advance. I put them in my mouth, roots and all, and swallow them. The dirt and sand in the roots get stuck in my teeth, but that's the least of my concerns. The pain is unbearable. After consuming the herbs for a while, the pain starts to subside as their effects kick in. Crunch, crunch, munch. Later, the fox that swallowed my entire arm licks its lips with its tongue. I thought it might taste different because of its unique scent. Turns out, it's not much different from ordinary humans. There's a lot of impurities in the blood vessels, making it rough and leaving a bad aftertaste. I offer this humble tribute. I accept your tribute and permit you to stay in my territory for 7 nights. My divine power has infused you, so you shall not die from this wound. After saying so, the fox leaps away and disappears into the forest. Huh. I chew on a hemostatic herb, apply its juice to where my arm has been torn off, and the bleeding stops, the pain gradually subsiding. Gr. Ugh. Deputy Manager Co. Deputy Manager Co. Eunhyun. Director Kim and Deputy Manager Kong hurry over to help me. What is all this? What was that just now? First, let's go inside. I'll explain. Supported by the two, I return to the cave. Then, I mix truth and lies to tell them what happened. This morning, I met the fox when I went out early. It told me. They will find out in a few days anyway. I pretend the knowledge I already have was what the fox had taught me. This is not the world we used to live in, but a completely different one, inhabited by immortals, cultivators, and martial artists. Martial world, huh? This is thrilling. Hee, never thought I'd experience something like this. Director Kim and Chief O make jokes about the martial world, trying to lighten the mood despite their disbelief. Haha, Deputy Manager Co. If it's about the martial world, I'm an expert. So you see, Director Kim's voice trembles, revealing his attempt to hide his emotions. Don't die. If you die, it isn't excitement about the martial world, but a forced attempt to divert attention from my pain. Director Kim and Chief O are trying to lighten the mood because they are the oldest here. It's okay. I won't die. The fox said so. With its divine power, I won't die from this wound. In my past life, when we didn't perform the ritual, everyone's limbs were torn apart. Despite the pain that made us wish for death, none of us actually died. No, we couldn't die. But what about immortals and cultivators? At that moment, when Chief O is puzzled by my mention of immortals and cultivators, Section Chief John steps forward. There are novels called Xianxia, not just martial arts fiction. John Myung-hoon explains the concept of Xianxia to Director Kim and Chief O. I see. Section Chief John, you know some interesting things. I've been interested and have looked into it. I guess he spent his work hours reading Xianxia novels instead of working. So that's why he dumped his work on me. I almost explode in anger, but quickly let it go and continue speaking. Anyway, the owner of this forest demanded a tribute to allow us to stay here temporarily, so I offered my arm. This should keep us safe in the forest for a week. A week? What happens after a week? We'll have to offer another tribute. At this, everyone's gaze turns towards my shoulder. Their faces are all pale as death. By the way, could you bring me some pain relief herbs? It hurts a lot. Ah, sure. This one. Thank you. I chew on another root of the pain relief herbs I had dug up earlier. I'm going to sleep for a bit. Please understand. Perhaps due to the shock, I naturally fell asleep as the tension released. After suppressing the pain with the herbs, I fall into a sweet sleep. It's said that hearing is the last sense to go. Perhaps that's why, as I regained consciousness, I could hear the voices of others. What? A tribute? That's absurd. After a week, we have to offer another tribute like that. We should think about leaving this place within a week. How can we let Deputy Manager Co suffer like this? Deputy Manager Co was the first to encounter that Feng and almost got eaten. Rather, he's the first to sacrifice. In a half-asleep state, I continue to listen to the ongoing conversation. But what if we can't leave the forest after a week? John Myung-hoon asks in a cold voice. No one answers. Then who will have their limb torn off next? Silence hung in the deeper part of the cave. In 3 days, the immortals will appear and kidnap them, so it doesn't really matter. There's no need to mention anything about my regression. That's when it happened. A rather annoying sound came to my ears. Is Deputy Manager Co sleeping well? Yes. He's completely knocked out. Deputy Manager Co. If you're awake, I have something to tell you. Please wake up. I keep my eyes closed and pretend to sleep. John Myung-hoon checks that I'm asleep and then stands up. Come to the entrance for a moment. Huh? Can't we just talk here? No, come outside. Eventually, John Myung-hoon leads the others to the cave entrance. A while later, I hear whispers from the entrance. Simultaneously, there are voices criticizing John Myung-hoon. Section Chief John, how can you think of something like that? Deputy Manager Seo sacrificed his arm like that. Section Chief John, I really can't approve of that. Outside the cave, John Myung-hoon raises his voice. Well, who will offer their arm or leg to the monster fox after a week? Even so, Chief O, what do you think? I think it's reasonable. I don't know. And Deputy Manager Seo is capable. He knows a lot about herbs and food. Then let's learn as much as we can from Seo Eun-hyun for a week. Though I couldn't hear clearly from outside the cave, I can roughly guess. So they're thinking, since I've become disabled, let's cut off my limbs and offer them to the fox every week. It's not going to happen, but it still feels disgusting. Very, very much so. Should I kill him? Even with one arm, the violence I have learned over the 50 years in my past life is considerable. I could easily kill someone like John Myung-hoon, who hasn't fully escaped modern civilization. No, that's not it. The immortals who will find us in 2 days didn't come for us. They came because they found talented beings. Chief Oh Hyun-suk, Deputy Manager Kang Min-hee, and Section Chief John Myung-hoon. They were surprised by the qualities of these three. If even one of them is missing, I can't be sure if they'll come. Should I beat him to the brink of death? Make him disabled? Anyway, the immortals came to us in the past, even when their limbs were severed. It's likely that they would come even if this guy's limbs are broken. However, I soon stop thinking and shake my head. Everyone must be paralyzed in their head with emotions due to fear. They are all originally good people. It's just that the situation is too sudden and nonsensical. And if I want to rely on Director Kim later, it wouldn't be good to show too cruel a face right now. It's better to be seen as a subject of protection or sympathy. Also, if Director Kim joins in this plot, he will take more care of me in the future due to guilt. It's rather good. Everything will be resolved on the 3rd day anyway. In 2 days, John Myung-hoon, Oh Hyun-suk, and Kang Min-hee will be people I never see again. 3 days later, Oh Hye-seo and Kim Yun will be separated as well, and Director Kim Young-hoon and I can leave Ascension Path with the help of a monster. I quietly continue to pretend to sleep on the floor. After a while, people with dark expressions, as if they had reached some dirty agreement, enter the cave. Hey, Deputy Manager Seo, are you okay? Try getting up. John Myung-hoon deliberately wakes me up. Haha, Deputy Manager Seo. Sorry about that. I didn't know you were such a self-sacrificing person. From now on, I'm counting on you. John Myung-hoon looks at me with a smile I have never seen before and pats my back. I look around at the people nearby. Everyone's expression is dark. This garbage. I see how he persuaded everyone with his silver tongue. For a moment, annoyance surged, and I even consider strangling and killing the guy who hugged me. Endure. Phew, just hold on. Yes, we all need to survive together in a difficult situation. Haha, right. So, about the fruit you picked yesterday. Do you know where to find it? This bastard. So he woke me up for this. I can teach you. Actually, I was planning to teach you, Section Chief John, in particular. Huh, really? Thanks. Thank you. Don't worry about surviving in the forest. They'll teach you everything. I give him a sly smile. Yeah, they'll teach you all this knowledge. After all, it's knowledge you won't need for the rest of your life once you join a cultivation sect. John Myung-hoon, how many times have I told you it's not that fruit? You're not focusing on my words, are you? No, but surely. The one with the split top is a different fruit. Eating this fruit will kill you. Do you understand? While teaching John Myung-hoon about herbs and edible fruits, I no longer called him Section Chief. He's learning about herbs while grinning, even though I'm scolding him. I wonder how frustrating it will be when he realizes these are low-grade herbs useless for a sect disciple. No, John Myung-hoon. Can't you understand? I've explained several times. You have a problem with concentration. I get it. John Myung-hoon's face turns as red as raspberries. John Myung-hoon is being tormented in the same way he used to torment me when I first joined the company. He must be enduring it with the thought of extracting as much knowledge as possible in a week. Sorry, but we won't see each other again in 2 days. Look here. This is called green-leafed ear, and it emits a unique fragrance when chewed. It can be used for brushing teeth and repelling insects. Green-leafed ear, green-leafed ear. But I've never heard of these in Korea. Deputy Oh Hyun-suk tilts his head, looking a bit confused. They are somewhat specialized plants, and since they are not native species, you may not be familiar with them. Of course, they don't exist on Earth. I'm using the knowledge of herbs I learned in this world. But Deputy Oh Hyun-suk, not being an expert, seemed to believe it roughly. That's right. Please continue. This is called blue baby's hand vein, also known as blood-purifying grass. Ah, John Myung-hoon. You're not listening to me now, are you? Sorry, right. I continue giving John Myung-hoon noticeable looks while persisting with the herbal medicine class. The day passes by just like that. And the next day, we have to confront a huge red snake with 2 heads staring at us in front of the cave. Hi, hike. Huh. The others tremble in fear, holding things like branches inside the cave, and I cautiously speak to the snake. What brings you here? The snake replies. The master of this territory has tasted a human with a unique scent. Though not as much as the fox, this snake is quite fearsome to me. Of course, compared to the fox, it isn't really traumatic. Of course, since you've offered sacrifices to the master of the territory and received permission to stay for 7 nights and days, I will not bother you during that time. However, the snake licks its lips with its 2 heads. If you allow me to taste even a little of your blood, I won't bother you even after 7 nights and days. Unlike the fox that tore off my arm, the snake is quite moderate. Even in my past life, when I wasn't recognized by the fox, this 2-headed snake just came, bit into Chief O's body, sucked his blood, and left. But now, it's even asking for our permission to take some blood. It should be fine. Our bodies, being modern people, are full of cholesterol and fat. Thanks to that, in my past life, the snake left after tasting Chief O's blood, saying it's tasteless. How much blood do you want? A handful. Just a handful of blood. Then, I'll leave. I smile and look at John Myung-hoon. Mr. John Myung-hoon, could you give this gentleman some blood? What? It's not like I'm asking you to sacrifice an arm, just a handful of blood. That should clot quickly. Aye. Ah, Mr. John Myung-hoon, don't you need knowledge of herbs? All right. With a flushed face, John Myung-hoon cuts his hand with a sharp stone knife he had made. Drip, drip. The snake joyfully consumes John Myung-hoon's blood. A little later, there are many impurities in the blood, even poison. A terrible taste. The worst I've tasted compared to any human's blood. The snake shakes its 2 heads and retreats. The blood of a 21st century office worker, laden with cholesterol and nicotine, is not tasty. Anyway, since you let me taste the blood, I'll leave. After the snake left, I applied hemostatic herbs to John Myung-hoon's wound. John Myung-hoon was quite annoyed, probably feeling dirty from being licked by the snake. Mr. Seo Eun-hyun, I know I bullied you a lot in your early days at work, but isn't that a bit too much? What can I do? It's hard to ask the ladies or older executives like the chief and the director to give blood. A handful of blood should have been enough for you. I just had an arm severed yesterday, and I'm a bit short on blood. Even a handful is a lot for me. Kook. John Myung-hoon bites his lip and takes a breath. Funny guy? He plans to sell me to the fox in a week. He's just resentful because I sacrificed him. Anyway, he can't do anything to me. Well, I won't see him after tomorrow. I think I should take advantage while I can and start to hassle John Myung-hoon more. Thus, 3 days passed since we fell into this forest. Whoosh whoosh. The wind has been strong since dawn today. Zap zap. At the same time, the air feels turbulent. I smile and wake up John Myung-hoon early in the morning. Mr. John Myung-hoon, let's go pick some herbs in the morning. Right from the morning. Ah, hurry up. All right. I take John Myung-hoon around, searching for herbs. And a little later. Oh, I found it. Is this a good herb? Yes, it is. It does look like ginseng. John Myung-hoon swallows his saliva looking at the plant resembling wild ginseng in front of him. The plant is a type of ginseng called yellow bamboo root. It isn't particularly rare, but what matters is the size of the ginseng. Perhaps because it absorbed spiritual energy, the yellow bamboo root, normally the size of a pinky, is now as thick as my forearm. Ha ha. Oh, this is incredible. Is it really okay to dig up so much wild ginseng like this? John Myung-hoon seems to feel exhilarated, but I'm chuckling to myself. After all, you won't have the chance to eat such things in the future. Even the yellow bamboo roots that John Myung-hoon digs up with his own hands, he won't be able to eat. For cultivators, yellow bamboo root is just a low-grade medicinal herb for mortals. Of course, it's used by martial artists for internal energy enhancement. I should give it to Director Kim later. You can try the ginseng later. First, put them here. I hand over a pouch I made from tearing my clothes. John Myung-hoon carefully puts the ginseng into the pouch. Let's return now. It's about time to head back. We went back to the cave, had John Myung-hoon start a fire, and sat down. And it was when I was quietly sitting and looking up at the sky. Quagwang. Quack-quagwang. Suddenly, there's a flash, and something collides in the sky. It seems like a collision of black, golden, and pure white lights. And then, at that moment, kuhuk, quack. Suddenly, John Myung-hoon spots blood and collapses. Aok. Deputy Manager Kong Min, he also screams and collapses. Her screams echo around like a ghostly wail. Additionally, Chief Oh Hyun-suk also collapses, clutching his heart. It's time. A little while later. Pot. Above the cave we were in, 3 orbs of light fly down. Wow, amazing. To think I'd find such gems while bumping into those annoying folks. Who's talking? Get lost, Byuk-ho. These guys are all mine. Such shameless talk. Hyo-gwack. From within the orbs of light, a middle-aged man in a golden robe, a figure in black robes that made it unclear whether they are male or female, and a giant in blue armor SD out. Yo, you are who? Director Kim asks them with a fearful voice. However, they glance at Director Kim and ignore him. No spiritual roots. Just ordinary mortals. They're irrelevant to my treasures. Their gaze sweeps over each of us in turn. Do these three have spiritual roots? But it's amazing. How did these untrained mortals end up in Ascension Path? Hehe, it seems like that fox tricked one of them. From the injury, it seems they offered themselves willingly. Impressive spirit for a mere mortal. Kwon. The giant in blue armor stomps his foot, and a faint turquoise light ripples outwards. At the same time, when the light touches my body, something amazing happens. My arm, enveloped in a sky blue light, regrows. Thank you. I bow deeply to the giant, overwhelmed with gratitude. The giant laughs heartily and speaks. No need to be so formal. For a cultivator, restoring a mortal's blood essence is quite easy. Anyway, click. The giant in blue armor flicks his hand towards the air. At the same time, my body is pushed back, and John Myung-hoon, Chief O, and Deputy Manager Kang's bodies are pulled forward. These three have spiritual roots. Shall we see who's worth it? The middle-aged man in the golden robe steps forward and extends his hand. A golden sword then floated above his hand. Wong. Pajijik. Simultaneously, golden lightning roars in the sky, and John Myung-hoon collapses again, spitting blood. As expected, amazing. A body of heavenly golden thunder. Move, it's my turn. The figure in black robes, ambiguous in gender, pushes the man in the golden robe aside and takes out a black pipa. Tongue. As the pipa string is plucked, Deputy Manager Kong Min he clutches her head and screams. Ache. Her screams once again echo like ghostly wails. The figure in black robes show a slight smile. Ghostly transforming immortal root. To think it actually exists. Hee hee, I also believe what I felt was not a lie. The giant in blue armor walks past the figure in black robes and approaches Chief Oh Hyun-suk. What is it? Chief Oh seems fearful, but the blue-armored giant surprisingly checks his pulse, holding his wrist calmly. And after a while, a unique holy body. Can such a body really exist? Impossible. A little while later, the three, seemingly shocked, calm their hearts and then ask the three, would you like to consider the path of cultivation? The middle-aged man in the golden robe speaks to John Myung-hoon with a gentle expression. Each of you has the talent to turn the world upside down. It's unthinkable to waste such talent. The figure in black robes looks at Deputy Manager Kong Min-hee with a lingering gaze. Immortality. The power to turn heaven and earth upside down. Immense wealth and honor. Don't you want it all? I assure you, if you follow me, you will obtain everything within 100 years. The giant in blue armor openly approaches Chief Oh Hyun-suk and speaks, massaging his body. I am the Grand Master of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, Jin Byuk-ho. How about all three of you join my Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect? So greedy. In our Black Ghost Valley, there's no such thing as a missing elemental method. I am the Grand Elder of the Black Ghost Valley's Elder Council, the White Bone Ghost Devil. If all of you join our valley, you can achieve maximum growth. Well, I don't really need those two. Just you, come along, unique holy body. I am the 4th generation sect leader of the Heaven Creation Sect, Lee Chong-ho. If you wish, I'm even willing to pass on the sect to you. Oh, the other two can come if they wish. Though different in direction, you both have tremendous talent, so we'll take you as direct disciples. While the three cultivators seem to be giving them a choice, in reality, it's no different from a forced threat. The giant in blue armor, known as Chong-ho, is practically crushing Chief Oh Hyun-suk's shoulder. The gender-ambiguous figure in black robes, the White Bone Ghost Devil, is doing something suspicious while making eye contact with Deputy Manager Kong Min-hee. Deputy Manager Kong Min-hee's eyes are gradually becoming dull, and Jin Byuk-ho seems to be pressuring John Myung-hoon with an invisible force, as if threatening to kill him if he doesn't choose him. After a while, John Myung-hoon, Chief Oh Hyun-suk, and Deputy Manager Kong Min-hee are forced to join the three cultivation sects. Welcome to the sect, haha. The elders of the valley will take good care of you. Come, my disciple, let's go. The three cultivators are about to take off with the three people. Just then, Director Kim, who is watching the situation in a daze, suddenly regains his senses and runs out. Wait a moment. Excuse me. Can you possibly help us out of this forest? If we stay here, we're all going to die. Are you so worried because you're mortals? Worried about that fox? Don't worry. The giant in the blue armor, Chong-ho, laughs and speaks. We've already beaten all the demons and monsters in Ascension Path on our way here. Now we're going to catch that fox too, and for the next 10 years, Ascension Path will be safe. Oh no, look here. Section Chief John. Chiefo. Deputy Manager Kong. Say something. We don't even know how to get out of here. In reality, John Myung-hoon is already captured by Jin Byuk-ho in a golden bottle like a Pokemon. Deputy Manager Kong Min-hee is completely entranced by White Bone Ghost Devil. Chong-ho just laughs off whatever Chief Oh Hyun-suk says, seemingly uninterested. It was like this 50 years ago. Those three were irresponsible and out of their minds. No matter how loudly we shouted, they didn't pay any attention to us, as if we were just insects, and went on their way. Instead of calling out hoarsely to the three cultivators, I touch my arm that has been restored. Well, at least they restored my arm. I sigh and thank Sir Chong-ho inwardly. Director Kim shouts till his throat is hoarse as he watches the three orbs of light disappear, but there's no response. Ugh, damn it. Eventually, Director Kim just collapses. What are we supposed to do in this forest? Now only 4 of us are left. Me, Director Kim Young-hoon, Deputy Manager Oh Hyeseo, and Manager Kim Yun. Tomorrow, Deputy Manager Oh and Manager Kim will probably be kidnapped too. My time alone with Director Kim is coming shortly. Director Kim is momentarily disheartened, but is overjoyed and congratulates me upon seeing my arm had been restored. It's really a relief, truly a relief. Exactly. Moreover, that Chong-ho said he'd catch the fox too. If we only aim to survive, it seems we can make it. Who I see. When Deputy Manager Seo's arm was torn off, I thought I was going to lose my mind. But even now, it's really shocking to see 3 of our colleagues disappear like that. Deputy Manager, it's truly fortunate. We, who had lost our colleagues yet had our lives assured in this strange situation, sat there, unable to cry or laugh. And then, a little later, like a meteor passing through the sky, a pure white light streaks across the sky. Oh what? It isn't just that. After the white light, several dozens of lights fly across the sky like a meteor shower. All are headed in the direction where Jin Byuk-ho, the White Bone Ghost Devil, and Sir Chong-ho had flown. What is this? Is there something in that direction? Director Kim looks in that direction in confusion, and I start to gather fruits to eat for the day, lighting a fire to roast them. Tomorrow, it will be time to part ways with Deputy Manager Oh and Manager Kim. SSSSSSS. The next day came. This day is unusual as it rained. Dark clouds fill the sky, and thunder rumbles. With this weather, it'll be hard to go out for fruits. What should we do? Manager Kim looks at us with a worried expression, especially since Deputy Manager Oh isn't in good condition. It's true. Deputy Manager Oh Hyeseo is lying down with a high fever, looking at the sky with a vacant expression and muttering to herself. Let's wait a bit longer. I speak, looking up at the sky. Who knows, maybe another miracle like yesterday will happen today. Is that really a miracle? Oh, of course, your arm coming back is really like a miracle, but I chuckle and say to Manager Kim, who knows? Someone might appear and cure Deputy Manager Oh's illness completely. I look up at the sky with Manager Kim and Director Kim. It's lunchtime. Quorum. Thunder roars. Cough. Cough. Deputy Manager Oh's cough and fever worsens. Blood flows from her nose. Deputy Manager Seo. Is there any herb we can use for this? What should we do? Let's try giving her some fever-reducing herbs for now. That's when it happened. Thud, thud. Someone enters the cave. He's a handsome middle-aged man dressed in blue robes. The middle-aged man, with a top-knot hairstyle, has a pair of small deer-like horns on his head. Mortal's an ascension path. It's like ants getting crushed between the competition of true dragons. Who are you? Director Kim, vigilant, guards against this new figure. The man in blue robes smiles wryly and introduces himself leisurely. I am the Sea Dragon King, Seo Huiol. I came following the source of the sudden and unnatural stormy weather. That woman over there is using the spell of the storm. The man introduced as Seo Huiol points to Deputy Manager Oh. Well, it's not exactly a spell, but yes. She wields the power of the storm. It's a strain on her human body to cause such massive events. St. Stormer. Yes, the storm. It's quite unusual. A human, an immortal at that, without even spiritual roots, wielding such immense power. She's not even doing it consciously. Truly peculiar. Peculiar indeed. Curious, I asked Seo Huiol a question that had been on my mind. In fact, we've experienced more peculiar events. Yesterday, 3 incredible cultivators took away members of our group who were perfectly suited as their disciples. And today, you came to take a look at Deputy Manager Oh. Why do people as great as you come to us so specifically? To my question, Seo Huiol looks puzzled for a moment, then bursts into laughter. Ha ha ha, it is so. I'm not sure of the details, but there were mortals among your group with exceptional qualities. Masters fitting those qualities took your colleagues away. And today, I appeared specifically suited for that woman. Is that peculiar? Seo Huiol asks me as if amused. Look here, mortal friend. Do you know where this place is? From what I've heard, it seems to be called Ascension Path. Ascension Path, also known as the Path to Ascension, a gateway leading to the upper realm. And in a few months, near Ascension Path, a space rift called the Gateway to Heaven, the Ascension Gate will open. It's a once-in-1,000 years event. During this time, the surrounding space becomes unstable, and many cultivators and demons flock to the vicinity of Ascension Path, all to ascend to the upper realm. All high-level cultivators existing in this realm would have gathered. So, it's not impossible that masters specifically suited for you appeared. The same is likely for that woman. If not me, other high-level cultivators or demons would have found her. Is that so? I thought that some entity that sent us to this world intended to scatter us quickly. But it seems, in reality, it's just a matter of probability. But the cultivators took my colleagues away. Director Kim, seeing me initiate conversation with Seo Huiol, seems to relax and also asks a question. They talked about joining their sects and inheriting their methods. But if you ascend to that upper realm, how do they get people to join their sects? As an ordinary mortal, you might not understand cultivators. Among the skills of cultivators, there is one to shrink large objects for storage. Hearing Seo Huiol's response, I am astonished. Perhaps all of them have stored their sects in their storage devices. Their ambition is to ascend to the upper realm with their entire sect when the Ascension Gate opens. In fact, I have also placed one of my Sea Dragon Tribe's castles in my storage device. There are about 1,800 of my Sea Dragon Tribe members sleeping inside it. Stunned by his incredible words, both Director Kim and I are at a loss for words. Swoosh. Then, Seo Huiol approaches Deputy Manager O and strokes her forehead. Her condition, previously feverish and gasping for air, quickly stabilizes. Intriguing, really intriguing. If she becomes a member of my Sea Dragon Tribe, she might become an extraordinary being. Swoosh. While talking, Seo Huiol picks up Deputy Manager O. Director Kim, flustered, tries to stop him but is repelled by an invisible force. This lady will receive my blood and become part of my tribe. That will probably be good for both of us. Since many formidable cultivators will pass through Ascension Path, I say this out of concern. Flash. Seo Huiol's pupils slit vertically. Cough. Choke. R.G.U.H. Ugh. Both Director Kim and I, who previously asked Seo Huiol questions, collapse under the overwhelming pressure, finding it hard even to breathe. Do not carelessly question high-level cultivators. I am good-natured and answered your questions, but some cultivators with foul temperaments will explode you like bugs just for questioning them. After speaking, Seo Huiol leaves the cave. Flash. Boom. With a flash, a thunderous roar echoes, and shortly after, we see a blue dragon flying in the sky. SSSSSSS. The rain still does not stop. Manager Kim looks up at the sky with a hollow look and mutters. Everyone's been taken away. Now I don't even know what's what. Suddenly a landslide. Suddenly another world. Cultivators, dragons kidnapping my colleagues. She covers her face, looking like she might cry. Director Kim Young-hoon also sighs deeply with a gloomy expression. I don't know what to do. We should try to find a place with people, but I don't even know where to go. These cultivators and dragons just spout incomprehensible things, and damn it. I pat both their shoulders quietly. Then, suddenly, Manager Kim Yun grabs my arm. Deputy Manager Seo, you're not going to suddenly disappear too, right? Don't. You can't be kidnapped too, Deputy Manager. If you're taken away too, I want to have the confidence to survive in this forest. I gave a bitter smile. Tonight. Lastly, Manager Kim Yun will be kidnapped by a strange being. Chapter 3, Scattering Destiny, 2. Drip, drip, drip. The endless downpour gradually subsided after Deputy Manager O disappeared. After a while, the sky began to clear. Regardless of what happens next, I'll go gather some food. I stood up, leaving the two who had become despondent behind. Wait, Deputy Manager Seo. Let's go together. Yeah. What if some weird creatures kidnap us while we're separated? Well, yes. And, I said with a bitter smile. Strictly speaking, since they were taken away as disciples or blood relatives, it's more like recruitment than kidnapping. That's kidnapping. What? Did those strange creatures actually get proper consent before taking them? Director Kim spoke with a grimace. Indeed, it was actually a kidnapping. We stayed close to each other as we gathered herbs and fruits together. Try chewing on this herb. It will warm your body. After the rain, I gave warming herbs to Director Kim and Manager Kim, who were shivering in the cold air. Thank you, Deputy Manager Seo. Really, if it weren't for you, we would have been starving from the first day until now. Why didn't the company recognize someone as capable as you? I chuckled bitterly. The only thing I know how to do is survive in the woods for a few days, but I have no other abilities or talents. Don't be modest. It's because of you that we are still alive. You are, in essence, our lifesaver. That's right, Deputy Manager. The two encouraged me with trembling voices. Moved by their sincere words, I could only smile bitterly inside. This is all I can do for you. Right now, I'm like a merchant trying to buy Director Kim's favor with my future knowledge. I am neither a capable person, a good person, nor someone who can be a savior to others. I'm just paying the maximum price I currently can to buy favor. That's why you should also try this. It'll clear your mind. This herb helps with blood circulation. This fruit is said to be effective for beauty. I wandered around the forest, feeding Director Kim and Manager Kim numerous medicinal herbs and fruits. I've dug up a few more yellow bamboo roots. I've also gathered many precious herbs from my past life. And I made sure they both ate their fill. Thank you, Deputy Manager CO. Feeling full makes the gloominess fade a bit. Deputy Manager, you really can't go anywhere. Of course, I won't be kidnapped. As I wandered the forest, gathering herbs and fruits, evening approached. Now it's about time. I took off my shirt and lit it on fire with Director Kim's lighter. Good heavens. Deputy Manager CO, what are you doing? The Deputy Manager. The clothes, having dried after the rain and being worn while wandering outside, caught fire easily. I threw the freshly picked fruits into the fire made from my burning clothes. We couldn't gather firewood because of the rain. It'll be night soon. We need the fire. But, your clothes. I'm fine. Didn't I bring a lot of warming herbs? A farewell gift for Manager Kim. I left the two in a panic and, after a while, retrieved the fruits from the fire using a branch. Manager Kim, try this. Director Kim, you too. Thank you, Deputy Manager CO. Really thank you. The sun had set. We sat in the cave, watching the sunset, eating roasted fruits. This would probably be the last meal with Manager Kim. While eating the fruits, we chatted to hide the sadness of parting with Chief O, Section Chief John, Deputy Manager Kong, and Deputy Manager O, sometimes laughing heartily, sometimes snickering quietly, sometimes feigning disinterest at Director Kim's jokes. That way, we spent a long time laughing and talking. As the sky turned from red to purple at sunset, the sun almost completely set below the horizon. In the distance, in the direction where numerous cultivators and the Sea Dragon King had headed, towards the Ascension Gate, Manager Kim suddenly turned her head. Manager Kim, what's wrong? Director Kim asked Manager Kim Yun. Seeing her trembling lips, I guessed that the time had come. She had awakened her abilities. It's strange. Suddenly, I can feel everything around me. My senses are reaching out for several kilometers. Oh, Manager Kim Yun, suddenly able to sense her surroundings for several kilometers, clutched her head in pain, moaning. Ugh, Deputy Manager CO, what should we do? Is there any herb good for headaches? There is one for headaches here, but I doubted it would be useful. 50 years ago, in my past life, it was around this time that she was taken. She screamed softly in the direction of the Ascension Gate. It's coming. It's coming. Something is coming. From the direction of the Ascension Gate, where the cultivators had headed, a small dot became visible. Soon after, the dot rapidly grew and swiftly approached us. Whoosh. Arriving above our cave at an unbelievable speed, it was a giant puppet-like beast. Sitting on top of the sinister-looking puppet beast was an old man with a hunchback holding a cane. What's this? Mortals? How did mortals without spiritual roots reach the outskirts of the path to ascension? I see. It's the time when the Ascension Gate opens, and the nearby space becomes unstable. It's likely that ordinary mortals got caught in a spatial storm. Kikihi. As expected, I'm a genius. To figure out such a puzzle in an instant. The self-praising hunchbacked old man chuckled for a while and then asked us. By the way, ordinary folks, who was it just now that unleashed such an immense consciousness? I was startled, thinking a high-level immortal from the upper realm had descended. Is it that one? Leap. The old man jumped down from the puppet and approached Manager Kim Yun, who was suffering from the headache. Who are you? Manager Kim is our colleague. Director Kim bravely blocked the old man's path. But with a flick of the old man's chin, Director Kim was helplessly thrown aside. I ran to catch Director Kim, and although my back scraped, I managed to safely catch him. Deputy Manager CO, thank you. Huff. Are you okay? You're back. I'm fine. While we were busy, the hunchbacked old man approached Manager Kim Yun. Interesting, indeed interesting. An ordinary mortal's consciousness should not extend beyond their own brain. But this girl's consciousness stretches out like threads in all directions. It's so vast that I mistook it for the presence of an immortal from the upper realm. The hunchbacked old man lifted Manager Kim Yun's chin, grinning. Child, I will take you under my wing. You may lack spiritual roots, but with my abilities, I can fully awaken them. I'm curious to see what results will emerge if such a peculiar consciousness evolves into a cultivator's divine consciousness. Manager Kim Yun's eyes trembled, and she turned to us. Director, Deputy Manager. I said I would take you, yet you still cling to these worldly connections. Hugh. Tears the size of beans began to fall from her eyes. She had worried about being separated from us, after her colleagues were kidnapped just a few days after arriving in this world. The thought of being separated from us again frightened her. Seeing her like this, The hunchbacked old man's face distorted grotesquely and pointed at us. Cook, Hugh, Ark, Director Kim and I groaned loudly and collapsed on the spot. An overwhelming pressure that made it difficult to breathe squeezed us. Then, I shall personally sever your worldly connections. Now, no, please. I'll do anything you ask. Please just spare them. Manager Kim Yun, tears streaming, clung to the old man's feet. Seeing this, the hunchbacked old man wrinkled his brow and withdrew his hand from us. The crushing pressure that felt like it would burst our hearts finally subsided. Fine if you say so, but remember, you are now mine, and you must forget all worldly connections. Understand? I understand. Well, since it has come to this, I will send these two to a nearby mortal's nation through a spatial rift. I'll send them randomly, so even I will not know where they'll end up. You will never meet them again. Forget these meaningless worldly connections. Just a moment. Whoosh. Crack. A dark rift opened behind Director Kim and me. Startled, Director Kim tried to run in the other direction, and I hurriedly gathered the herbs and medicinal plants I had placed at the cave entrance. Stop right there. As the hunchbacked old man gestured, we began to be sucked towards the rift. Hyun, Director Young-hoon. No. As Manager Kim Yun reached out to us with a desperate look, we lost consciousness on the other side of the rift. Blink. I came to my senses and got up. Where is this? I looked around, recalling memories from 50 years ago. The musty smell. The noisy sounds coming from afar. What? Rubbing my eyes, I looked around. It was different from my memory. This place was different from where Director Kim and I had landed in my past life. I found myself in an alleyway, with people passing by on the other side. Why is it different from last time? Then I remembered the hunchbacked old man saying he would randomly connect the spatial rifts. It was random. Even a tiny difference could have changed the probabilities due to the butterfly effect, sending me to a different place than in my past life. I looked back. Behind me were Director Kim and the herbs I had brought, scattered on the ground. Let's go outside for a while. I arranged the herbs and pushed them into a corner of the alley, covering them with a burlap sack. Then I stepped out onto the streets. A cacophony of sounds hit my ears. The best silk in Yanghua. Today's goods are scriptures from Shengji country. If you talk about our pharmacy, it was a bustling area. Fortunately, it was a language I was familiar with. I was startled for a moment. I thought I had fallen into a completely different country where I had to learn a new language. Luckily, it seemed I had landed in Yanghua, where I had lived in my past life. Excuse me, I'm a bit confused. What's the name of this place? I've just come up from the village and am a bit mixed up about the name here. I stopped a passerby to ask the name of this place. In my past life, Director Kim and I had landed in Yinghua's Lianshan City, a small city located on the border of Yanghua. The passerby, looking at me as if I were insane, brushed off my hand and said, "Are you out of your mind? Asking where this is right in the middle of the capital? Ugh, bad luck. Meeting a crazy person in broad daylight. The capital." I smiled as I learned the name of this place. Seokyung City. In this life, I had arrived in the capital of Yanghua. Chapter 4. Director Kim is a martial genius. 1. After confirming my location, I approached Director Kim, who was still unconscious, and shook him awake. Director Kim. Director Kim slowly got up and looked around. Deputy Manager CO. Where are we now? Here. I briefly explained the situation to the director. After the hunchbacked old man had thrust us through the spatial rift, we found ourselves in this place. It seemed to be a world resembling medieval China, where martial artists really exist. So many things have happened, I can't even tell what's what anymore. Indeed. I wish someone would tell me this is all just a dream. Director Kim's face seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. I'm not sure if it's fortunate or not having any abilities or talents. I wonder if it's good that we weren't taken by those monstrous beings, or if we were just abandoned. I had no answer for him either. In my past life, I was just an ignorant herb collector who knew nothing. Even though I had survived comfortably for 3 days with others in this life, it was all thanks to my regression. As a person, I'm not that remarkable. First, we can't stay in this alley forever. Let's go out. Okay. Director Kim and I went out to the bustling streets of Seokyung City. Seokyung City's bustling area, teeming with all kinds of people, was as crowded as a modern-day shopping district. I can't understand what they're saying. It all sounds like Chinese, and why are people glancing at us? Probably because of the clothes we're wearing. I had burned the shirt I was originally wearing at Manager Kim's farewell meal to use as fuel, so now I only had an undershirt left. Director Kim was conspicuously dressed in completely out-of-place hiking gear. This is trouble. By the way, Deputy Manager CO, do you happen to speak Chinese? Yes, fortunately, I've had Chinese language training. Listening to them, it sounds similar to a Southern Chinese dialect. I think communication should be possible to some extent. Wow, that's incredibly lucky. Of course, that was a lie. The language of this world, starting from Oracle Bone script, was entirely different from Chinese. Whether it's traditional, simplified, or any regional dialects of China, they won't work here. In my past life, I had to beg and cling to nearby beggars for 2 months just to learn basic communication. I wouldn't need to do that now. But since these clothes will attract attention, let's buy new ones. How are we going to buy clothes? I doubt our money will work here. I smiled wryly and replied, money might not work, but wherever people live, medicine is needed. I entered a nearby pharmacy and sold various herbs like hemostatic herbs, warming herbs, and fever-reducing herbs. These were the most common and low-grade herbs I had gathered in Ascension Path. Of course, these herbs, having absorbed a lot of spiritual energy and not been touched by human hands for a long time in the forest, were 3 to 4 times larger than ordinary herbs, and I received a considerable amount of money from the pharmacy. Haha, Deputy Manager CO. As expected, your abilities work even here. Did you receive a lot? It seems so. Still, I frowned upon seeing the money given by the pharmacy owner. They've really undercut the price. It was because of our suspicious appearance. The herbs were large and abundant, so we received this much, but we might not have gotten anything if they were less. Of course, this amount was enough to buy new clothes. I immediately went to the most shabby-looking fabric store nearby and bought 2 sets of worn clothes. We changed into these plain-looking clothes and stepped outside. The cost of living here is immense. It seemed to be 3 to 4 times more expensive than in Lianshan City. As a result, we had to spend all the money we had. So what now? Deputy Manager CO. Just wait a moment, Director. It seems I will need to sell more herbs. I went to another pharmacy and again sold herbs. This time, they didn't cut the price because of our suspicious appearance, but still significantly undercut the price. I once again went back to the fabric store and bought slightly better clothes, then went to another pharmacy and sold herbs again. This time, the owner of the pharmacy, seeing my clothes, bought the herbs at a proper price. For the last time, I went back to the fabric store and this time bought a silk outfit. Dressed in the new clothes, I wandered around the bustling streets of Seokyung City and entered a considerably large pharmacy to sell the yellow bamboo roots. Ah, my lord, to sell such a precious elixir to our pharmacy. The owner of the pharmacy reverently took the yellow bamboo roots from me, who was dressed in silk. In my opinion, this yellow bamboo root must be at least 800 years old. At the very least, it should fetch 10 pieces of horse-shaped silver. Of course. In fact, it should be worth 15 pieces for such quality. Right, it should be. Bring them quickly. I received the owner's gratitude and left the pharmacy with 15 pieces of horse-shaped silver. Haha, incredible. Deputy Manager CO. Is this all? Yes, well, there were still a few more roots of yellow bamboo left. Moreover, the one I sold was the smallest. After buying a silk outfit for Director Kim, I went to the government office, gave a bribe to an official, and obtained a residence permit. Then, after buying a small house and land on the outskirts of Seokyung City, I was left with only 1 piece of horse-shaped silver. Let's live here from today onwards. We've secured basic housing, and I'll teach you how to read and write, Director. Thank you, Deputy Manager CO. No, that's not right. He seemed a bit embarrassed as he spoke. Now that we're not colleagues, it doesn't seem right to call you Deputy Manager. What should I call you? Just call me by my name. Thank you, CO Eunhyun. We decided on the form of address and discussed our future plans. The reason we could gather such an amount of money so quickly is because we sold the herbs we gathered in the forest. If we run out of herbs, we'll have problems with food and shelter, so we need to find a way to make a living. How should we continue to make a living? How about doing business by selling herbs and buying silver? Certainly. With the substantial initial funds we now have, Director Kim Young-hoon, who was a mid-level executive in a fairly large company, should be able to do business well enough to make ends meet. But that's not enough. Since I've regressed, shouldn't I aim a little higher? Director Kim Young-hoon is a martial arts genius. He became a powerful warrior by mastering third-rate martial arts sold on the streets in just a few months. He gradually learned advanced martial arts to eventually become the #1 in the martial arts world of Yanghua. What if I taught him advanced martial arts from the beginning? I could advance the birth of the greatest swordsman by 30 years, and I would benefit as much as possible from his success. Director, this place actually has a world of martial arts and martial skills. Innocently doing business in such a place, we could end up being swept by the competition between martial sects at any time. Wouldn't it be better to learn at least some self-defense martial skills? That makes sense. He asked me, his face lighting up with excitement. But martial arts are usually not taught to outsiders, right? How can we easily learn them? Hearing about learning martial arts, Director Kim used a term from martial arts novels, and his eyes sparkled. I just received 15 pieces of silver for 1 herb. Isn't there nothing that can't be solved with money? Of course, before that, you'll need to learn the language and characters. For the next 3 months, I taught Director Kim the language and characters while living off the money from selling 1 more herb. He seemed to relieve his depression from being separated from his colleagues in this strange world by learning with all his might. At the same time, I taught him a breathing technique called Chanji, Heaven-Earth, Heart Method, a third-rate internal martial art, as a health exercise. And after 3 months, lately, I've been feeling a tingling sensation in my lower abdomen. Even though I just sit at home, I feel bursts of energy. Amazing. I could confirm Director Kim's incredible progress. Chanji Heart Method, literally a basic internal martial art, focuses not on accumulating internal energy, but on feeling it by establishing the foundation in the dantian. It took Director Kim only 3 months to feel the chi inside his body, which usually takes ordinary people 8 months with the Chanji Heart Method. He has mastered the Chanji Heart Method. At the same time, I felt a bit of self-deprecation. I took about 13 months to feel chi using the Chanji Heart Method. This means I'm considerably slower than an average person. When it's only third-rate martial arts, the difference is only 4 times. But as we progress to higher-level martial arts, the gap between his talent and mine will become strikingly apparent. Well, since you seem to be getting the hang of the language and characters, let's look for a sect to join. Let's do that. Haha, are we going to learn martial arts now? While I spent 3 months teaching Director Kim letters and language, I researched the martial arts sects of Seokyung City in Yanghua. Demon Slaying Sect, Self-Binding Temple, Surpassing Birdhouse, 7 Mysteries Gate, Wolf Feng Gang, Dark Knight Association, and Dragon Fighting Stronghold are considered the 7 major sects of Seokyung City. I explained each of the sects to him. Demon Slaying Sect, Self-Binding Template, Surpassing Birdhouse, and 7 Mysteries Gate were classified as righteous sects. Wolf Feng Gang, Dark Knight Association, and Dragon Fighting Stronghold were famous unorthodox forces in Seokyung City. The 4 righteous sects and 3 evil sects were collectively referred to as 4 stars, 3 demons in Seokyung City. The demon-slaying sect mainly practiced sword and blade techniques. Self-Binding Temple was a religious sect of Buddhism. Surpassing Birdhouse was an information organization like How Moon, Korean Murim organization that consists of thieves, pickpockets, prostitutes, etc., and 7 Mysteries Gate had a long history and encompassed various martial arts. Wolf Feng Gang specialized in strong and practical fighting techniques. Dark Knight Association developed stealth and movement techniques through illegal activities in Seokyung City, and Dragon Fighting Stronghold primarily focused on unarmed fighting techniques. Director, which sect appeals to you the most? Regardless of the sect, Director Kim's talent would ensure his success. Without any hesitation, Director Kim made his choice. Demon Slaying. Let's go with the Demon Slaying sect. After all, swordsmanship for a heroic warrior, blade techniques for a man, is it not? Just like in his past life, he chooses the same path as his first martial art. A good choice indeed. The second coming of the greatest swordsman from my previous life. Together, Director Kim and I headed towards the Demon Slaying sect. The Demon Slaying sect's main branch was located in the eastern part of Seokyung City. Inside the large compound of the sect, loud shouts of energy could be heard. At the entrance, 2 warriors wearing swords and blades guarded the gate. Halt, what brings you to our sect? The guard warriors cautiously inquired, noticing the silk clothes we were wearing. This gentleman here is my elder brother. He has come to learn the martial arts of demon slaying, having heard of its reputation. The gatekeeper's eyes turned towards Director Kim, a middle-aged man with half-balding hair and a plump belly. I apologize, but at that age, it won't be easy to learn martial arts. Haha. Still, let us talk to the higher-ups. Even basic self-defense martial arts would be fine. I gently smiled and replied. Although I mentioned self-defense martial arts, within a few months, they will be pleading with Director Kim to learn advanced martial arts on their own. The gatekeepers exchanged looks, sighed, and then opened the gate for us. Shortly after, Director Kim and I were facing the hall master of the demon-slaying hall, named Hyo Beck. So, you wish to learn self-defense martial arts? Yes, if possible, the best self-defense martial arts. I handed over a prepared silk case to Hyo Beck. It contained 15 of the 20 silver ingots I had acquired from selling all the yellow bamboo roots. Hyo Beck opened the case, checked the silver ingots, coughed, and said, I will admit him as an outer disciple of the demon-slaying sect. If he wants, I can also teach a couple of our inner disciple martial arts. However, he will be treated as an outer disciple. There are no privileges for those who enter through donations. Also, we will only accept one of you as an outer disciple. Director Kim, surprised by the stingy offer, started to rise. I gently pressed his shoulder, stopping him, and replied to Hall Master Hyo Beck. Thank you for the honor, Hall Master. That will be sufficient. As an outer disciple, my elder brother here will join. Then come to the Hall of External Disciples, shortly. Hyo Beck left us with a dismissive gesture and went away. Kim Young-hoon, looking confused, said to me, Eun-hyun, what's the point if I'm the only one learning martial arts? If I knew it would be this expensive, we could have just gone to another sect. No, it might be better for you to learn martial arts. No, you, being younger, would be more suitable for learning martial arts. I've always been bad at physical activities. I'll support you, Mr. Kim, with the remaining silver ingots through business. That's my job and my role. You just need to fulfill your role. But, after showing a slightly apologetic face, Kim Young-hoon decisively said, All right, if you say so, I too will do my best to learn martial arts and help you. It would be lucky if this old body can even learn the basics. Believe in yourself. Thank you. Thus, Kim Young-hoon became an outer disciple of the demon-slaying sect, learning a few outer disciple and 3 inner disciple martial arts as a privilege for his substantial donation. 7 months later, the demon-slaying sect was in an uproar. Chapter 5. Director Kim is a martial genius, too. Achieving mastery in martial arts means fully embodying the true essence of those arts. Depending on a martial artist's skill, applying the essence of martial arts in real combat earns them recognition as a formidable warrior. Even if it's a third-rate martial art from the streets, understanding and embodying its essence can elevate one to the status of a second-rate martial artist. Naturally, as one practices higher-level martial arts, the essence embedded in each move requires the enlightenment equivalent to several third-rate arts, making it a hallmark of first- or second-rate martial arts. The demon-slaying sect was one of those sects with high-level martial arts, a well-established sect in the city of Seokyung. And someone had mastered their martial arts in just 7 months. Swoosh swoosh. Kim Young-hoon's blade sliced through the air. Absolute dragon saber technique of the demon-slaying sect. A blade technique reputed to even cut down flying dragons. It was a foundation martial art for inner disciples of the demon-slaying sect. Of course, being a foundation art for inner disciples meant it was on a different level than common third-rate martial arts, equivalent to second-rate martial arts. Despite being called second-rate, these martial arts were far from weak. As a fundamental art taught to the inner disciples of a large sect, its ferocity was formidable. Mastering its true essence meant he's reached first-rate. Kim Young-hoon had just managed to achieve the status of a first-rate warrior. I was astonished, watching him perform the blade technique. First-rate. The significance of that title was immense. In any field, those labeled as first-rate signify the masters of that industry. Even within the martial world, a first-rate warrior holds positions like an elder or even hall master of a large sect. For a small to mid-sized sect, they might even be the sect leader. To become first-rate in just half a year, many warriors train rigorously and achieve enlightenment to barely reach this level. But Kim Young-hoon, defying all norms, had boldly reached first-rate in just half a year. No wonder the demon-slaying sect is upside down. Rumor had it that the sect was in chaos because an outer disciple had achieved the skill level of an elder in just 7 months, leading to suspicions of him being a spy from another sect. Eventually, due to this, Kim Young-hoon, along with another suspected spy, me, was confined to our residence. I don't even know martial arts. Why am I suspected of being a spy? But, of course, it made sense. A middle-aged man with a bulging belly comes to learn martial arts, and after being taught, he becomes a first-rate expert in just half a year. It's understandably suspicious since it defies all logic. Mr. Kim, aren't you worried? What do you mean? If they suspect us of being spies, aren't they likely to block our meridians or destroy our dantian? It's not uncommon in these kinds of martial arts settings. That is true. Buzz. He swung his sword one last time and wiped off his sweat. But somehow, I feel like I can see the next barrier. If I overcome it, I believe I'll reach the next level. He's a monster. How long has it been since you've become a first-class warrior, and you're already feeling the next level? After first class is a peak master. From peak master, one can be the sect leader of a major sect or a grand elder level strength. In Yanghua, this level is also called the pinnacle realm, and just being a peak master puts one in the fearsome position of being within the top 1,000 in Yanghua. In fact, within the martial arts world, there is hardly any discussion about a level beyond the peak. Thus, it's essentially the final reach a martial artist can attain through their martial arts training. To think just mastering some high-level martial arts and in 7 months, a peak master. My expectations were wrong. With this momentum, the return of the world's greatest swordsman could be accelerated by not 30 years, but 50 years. No, 50 years might be too much. Let's say 40 years. Such was the insane level of growth of Director Kim. Haha. If you're a first-class warrior, you might be treated as a spy, but once you surpass the wall into the peak, even if you're suspicious, they have to accept you. Besides, Seo Eun-hyun still has a ginseng root from what he dug up, right? He continued practicing his swordsmanship while talking. Indeed, I had left a root of the yellow bamboo that I had dug up in Ascension Path. The yellow bamboo root was prepared for when Director Kim grew enough to increase his inner energy. It won't be long before I give it to him. By then, Director Kim's inner energy would also match that of a peak master. But Director, your sword technique seems completely different from just before. Haha, it's Hall Master Hyo Baek's sword technique. Was it the true demon-slaying sword technique? I saw it once, unfolded it, and learned it. Now, I'm trying to adapt it into my swordsmanship. Truly a heavenly martial talent. It was truly terrifying. Come to think of it, from the beginning, Director Kim had an unusual stamina for hiking and incredibly fast footwork when playing foot volleyball. Whenever he did something physical at work, he always came in first, which was suspicious. Was this talent always there? Then, maybe our qualities and abilities weren't awakened in this world, but were already present from our original world? Then, my regression ability too. It was a conjecture. I shook my head, dispelling the thoughts that had risen in my mind. Soon, 7 days and nights passed. Director Kim had become a peak master. The wall has been overcome. I handed Director Kim the last 900-year-old yellow bamboo root, astonished. You have an unexpectedly incredible talent. I'm surprised myself. I never knew I had such a talent for martial arts. Maybe it was for this reason that I liked martial arts since I was young. While exchanging such trivial jokes, Director Kim chewed and swallowed the yellow bamboo root I handed him, then began internal energy cultivation in a sitting posture. Cool. Shortly after, 3 flowers of chi formed above Director Kim's head and scattered into his nose and mouth. That's 3 flowers gather at the summit. Suo. Director Kim's eyes sparkled. He stood up with a confident expression. Now, even the Hall Master is not so scary. By the way, when will this house arrest be lifted? He approached one of the elders who was supervising our house. Excuse me, when will this house arrest be lifted? Until your suspicion of being a spy is cleared. All right then. 3 more days passed. People from the sect came. Hear this. The Hall Master of the Demon-Slaying Hall orders to sever ties with Yoon Young-hoon. Yoon because there is no Kim's surname Yanghua. A spy from another sect trying to steal our martial arts and cut the meridians of his limbs. 3 elders from the Demon-Slaying Hall surrounded Director Kim, and a second-class warrior, a law enforcer, approached me. Didn't I say I'm really not a spy? I'm just. Shut up. Tie him up. Who? What happened wasn't clear. Just that Director Kim Young-hoon unsheathed his sword at a fast speed. Shook. Oh. One elder's wrist was slightly cut. That elder won't be able to use that hand for life. Director Kim held the sword with a gloomy face. Unlike 7 months ago, his body, now lean and filled with muscles, naturally assumed the posture of the sword stance he had practiced thousands, if not millions, of times. It was my first martial arts school. What on earth? The 2 startled elders rushed at him, but again, Kim's sword moved too fast for the eye to see, lightly slicing the wrists of the elders. Oh. Thud. The guardian who was approaching me also panicked. As Kim quickly approached and delivered a wrist strike, the guardian collapsed unconscious. Ag. Damn. He's a peak master. Run away. Informed the sect leader. Several disciples of the demon-slaying sect, who had come with their elders, panicked and ran away. Kim Young-hoon, with a stern face, spoke to me. Eun-hyun, I'm thinking of going to the dragon-fighting stronghold. What do you think? Dragon-fighting stronghold, while being a faction of the unorthodox sect, isn't one known for great misdeeds. It's just a faction known for its strong martial spirit, so it doesn't seem bad. Good. Then, you go ahead to the dragon-fighting stronghold. I'll follow after dealing with the elders of the demon-slaying sect and the sect leader. Kim Young-hoon and I left the house, going in opposite directions. I hurriedly headed to the southern part of Seokyeong City, where the dragon-fighting stronghold was located, and only reached there by evening. Seo Eun-hyun, why are you so late? You were just too fast, Director. Kim Young-hoon had already arrived at the dragon-fighting stronghold faster than me. I sighed softly as I looked at the bloodstains on his sword. Director Kim, who used to be shocked by my violence, now carried a sword stained with blood. Although it's for survival in this world, it is inevitable that we are changed by this world. How nice it would be if we could return to our ordinary lives on Earth, not this martial world. Suddenly, I felt the ability to return to the past was a rather useless gift. If I had to return, why not send me back to that time on Earth? It can't be helped since it's come to this. Anyway, we have to live. I smiled at Director Kim, his sword stained with blood. I'm glad you're safe, Director. 10 years passed. Kim Young-hoon, who had been betrayed by the demon-slaying sect, devoted himself to the dragon-fighting stronghold and was appointed as an official elder of dragon-fighting stronghold. Becoming an official elder, he collected even more advanced martial arts and soon became a powerful warrior, surpassing even peak masters. Now, he had earned the seat of one of the 3 great swordsmen of the world in just 10 years. However, in reality, He always concealed more than 40% of his abilities. If he fully revealed his strength, he would become the unrivaled #1 in the world, the foremost person in Yinghua, and I had no doubt about that. Ignoring our age difference, I decided to address him as Hyungnim. He created a martial arts technique that suited me perfectly and taught it to me. This is the Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. It's named for its intent of slicing even the giant mountain. If you master it, you too can become a peak master. Along with the sword technique, he also created Dragon Vein Chi method, an advanced internal energy method. It was a first-class martial art, different from the simple third or second-class ones. The problem was, but Yunhayan, you are really a bit dull. My terrible martial talent. Even though he, the greatest martial artist, personally created a technique suited for me and taught it in detail, I was still barely hanging on to third class even after a year. I can't help it. Everyone has talents in different fields. Over the past 10 years, Kim Young-hoon practiced martial arts, and I studied medicine. I studied acupuncture points, acupuncture methods, and medical treatments in addition to the herbal medicine I had learned earlier. Thanks to this, I was able to set up an official medical hall and act as a doctor. Maybe it was due to the herbal knowledge I had previously learned. I was able to progress much faster in the field of medicine than in martial arts. By the way, aren't you going to marry? Well, I have to wait for the opportunity. The rough atmosphere of dragon fighting stronghold made marriage an undesirable option. There were even young ladies who ran away pale-faced when they heard I worked in the medical hall of Dragon Fighting Stronghold. Ha ha ha, I might have to leave Dragon Fighting Stronghold for the sake of my brother's marriage. Are you really leaving because of me? Just joking. Rather, Dragon Fighting Stronghold feels too cramped. Indeed, having achieved the title of one of the 3 great swordsmen of the world within 10 years and possessing the hidden strength of the #1 in the world, his words made sense. I'm thinking of leaving Dragon Fighting Stronghold to establish a new organization. What do you think? A new organization? Yes, the Wolin Alliance. A group that will unite the many factions of Yinghua and mediate the complicated political situations. What do you think? Will you join me? Of course I will. We are from the same hometown. That's right, people from the same hometown. We shouldn't part ways. Thus, Kim Young-hoon and I, having been in this world for 10 years, left Dragon Fighting Stronghold to establish the Wolin Alliance. Kim Young-hoon left Dragon Fighting Stronghold, and for 2 years, he traveled around Yinghua, challenging and breaking the signboards of major factions in each area. In the 3rd year, he finally succeeded in taking down the signboards of all the factions. He truly earned the title of the #1 person in the world and established the Wolin Alliance with the fame of #1, uniting the factions of the martial world. Naturally, he was the first leader of the Wolin Alliance, and I assisted him as the chief strategist. 7 years passed after the establishment of the Wolin Alliance. It had been 20 years since we landed in this world. My martial arts skill had progressed from barely hanging on to 3rd class to comfortably being at that level. Although I had first-class inner energy due to consuming many medicinal herbs in my position as strategist, my actual skill was still just at the fringe of 3rd class. However, Kim Young-hoon was different. Cool. In the dark secret room, I stood as Kim Young-hoon's protector, waiting for him to finish his energy circulation. That's when it happened. Woo-woo. A light shone, and above his head, 5 circles of energy gathered. After a while, the 5 spheres of energy were inhaled through his nose and mouth. The realm of 5 energies converging to the origin. Tuck, wuduk tuck tuck. Soon after, his body began to twist significantly, and his bones and flesh started to contort. That is, wuduk duck duck. His body transformed into an ideal form. A complete transformation. Pot. For a moment, there's a bright light, and then a completely different person stood before me. All wrinkles and white hair were gone, and the bald head had grown lush hair. The owner of that vibrant body, brimming with vitality, was completely different from the person I knew. Hyungnim? Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Kim Young-hoon, having undergone a complete transformation, seemed to have successfully rejuvenated. Now, he looked much younger than even me. Truly the best. Look at you, brother. You seem to be brimming with vitality. It feels like you can do anything. Haha. You'll probably get married before me, Hyunnim. That was true. Ever since I was appointed as a chief strategist in the Wolin Alliance, I had been insanely busy, not even having the time for dating, let alone marriage. Hey, what are you talking about? Me get married. But it seemed like he had no thoughts about marriage either. I've been married on Earth, and the first 3 years were good, but after that, it was really... No, I better not talk about it. Kim Young-hoon was a married man who had been a director on Earth. It seemed he had no intention of ever marrying again, even after becoming the #1 person in the world, given his past experiences with his wife. But Hyungnim, the world will be shocked to know you've undergone a complete transformation. Haha indeed. But now, it's time to gradually pass on the leadership of the Wolin Alliance to the next leader. There's no one who meets your standards, Hyungnim. To be the leader of the Wulin Alliance, one must have a certain level of martial arts, but there isn't a single person who understands the way of martial arts. You're just too much of a genius, Hyungnim. It's not that other people are stupid. Still, 1 year after Kim Young-hoon's complete transformation, Hyungnim passed on the position of the leader of the Wulin Alliance to the next generation. I too wanted to retire with Hyungnim, but since the second leader of the Wulin Alliance was facing difficulties in managing the alliance, I ended up being forced to continue to sit as the chief strategist. And so, another 10 years passed. It has been 30 years since I arrived in this world. My age was now approaching 60. As for my martial arts skills, while my internal strength was abundant, my actual skill level had barely reached the very end of the third rate. The Wulin Alliance went through the second leader and reached the time of the third leader, and I finally managed to retire after frantically training a successor and passing the position to the second strategist. After Kim Young-hoon retired from his position as the leader of the Wulin Alliance and traveled around Yanghua, often disappearing for months. Because of this, he did not even attend my retirement ceremony. I saw Kim Young-hoon's face again a year after retiring as a strategist. I bought a manor in Seokyung City and was leisurely reading medical books there. Trudge. What's this? Who's there? Ugh, Hyungnim. Why do you look like a beggar? And why didn't you come to my retirement ceremony? Were you enjoying your travels around the world so much? Hyungnim. The man I saw after a long time was in a beggar's appearance, pale-faced, and had lost all his overwhelming self-confidence. What happened, Hyungnim? Thump. He lay down on the floor of my manor, looking up at the sky, and spoke. Eun-hyun, I thought I was truly blessed with the talents of martial arts. But you are a genius, aren't you? Yes, I'm definitely a martial arts genius. There probably isn't a single person in Yanghua, no, among ordinary mortals, who can match my martial talents. Ordinary mortals? How is Hyungnim an ordinary mortal? You are the #1 in the world. I encountered cultivators. Don't you remember? 30 years ago. Those monsters who flew in the sky and kidnapped our companions. I fell silent. The cultivators. Working as the chief strategist of the Wulin Alliance, I had met them a few times. They were lurking in Yanghua's political and even royal circles, manipulating the entire country of Yanghua. After the establishment of the Wulin Alliance to control the martial world, they wanted to get their hands on the Wulin Alliance as well. Unwilling to oppose them, knowing that it would mean fighting the entire country of Yanghua, I agreed to join hands with them. With their indirect support, we were able to significantly expand the power of the Wulin Alliance. However, they demanded that martial artists should not be able to harm cultivators, and because of this decree, members of the Wulin Alliance never had the chance to confront them. And, after stepping down as the leader of the Wulin Alliance, Kim Young-hoon went in search of cultivators. Those cultivators are really hard to find. Even if I do manage to find one and try to engage them in combat, they use annoying techniques like illusions or flying to escape, preventing a proper fight. But this time, I finally succeeded in facing them head-on. So, did you win? I won. If you had said that during your time as the leader of the Wulin Alliance, I would have grabbed the back of my neck in disbelief. Kim Young-hoon chuckled bitterly, sticking out his tongue. In a life-or-death struggle against a cultivator who had reached the stage of chi building, I barely managed to inflict a scratch on his fingertip. He said that even a mere touch on his body would count as my victory, so I guess it was a win, in a way. Was this cultivator one of the 10 greatest masters among the cultivators? No. He got up and looked dejected. He said that the chi building stage is considered the second lowest level in the cultivation world. For a martial artist, it's equivalent to a second-tier fighter. What? That's unbelievable. In both my past and present lives, I knew that cultivators were formidable beings. Above the martial artists, there existed these incredibly powerful cultivators. But having seen his martial prowess for 30 years, I knew. His martial arts truly reached the heavens. Not just as a figure of speech. Kim Young-hoon could literally perform martial arts in the sky using levitation. He could slice through solid iron as if it were tofu. Yet, such a martial arts genius. He only managed to scratch a cultivator who was at the second lowest level in their hierarchy. I knew this world was like a Xianxiao novel. I knew about the genre of Xianxiao, but I only knew it as a genre, not the details. I called this world a Xianxiao-like world because of the existence of cultivators. But I hadn't thought much about how strong they really were. The monsters who kidnapped our colleagues 30 years ago, I had considered them as divine beings rather than cultivators. It's unbelievable that a human can be strong enough to toy with you, Hyungnim. I thought so too. But I was just a frog in the well. The cultivators we've seen lurking around in Yanghua are the lowest in the cultivation hierarchy. Those at the very bottom, ironically, meddle with the mundane world. He sighed deeply. I will continue to confront these cultivators, and I will create a martial art that can face them. I must. I have the talent of a heavenly martial artist like no other in this world. After all. With that, Kim Young-hoon left, his eyes blazing with determination. I was so shocked by his words that I didn't step outside for a while. And from that day on, I began to investigate these cultivators with all my might. Using my connections, I met with cultivators lurking within the Wolin Alliance, in politics, business, and even the royal family, learning about their world and their ways. The more I learned about cultivators, the more I realized that the extent of their realm was beyond my imagination. Cultivators, unlike martial artists who focus on physical prowess and internal energy, their goal is to become immortals through cultivation. Even the lowest cultivators were as strong as peak martial artists, meddling in various affairs. As their cultivation level increased, they could control weather, natural disasters, and gradually become almost godlike. Learning about these terrifying beings, I continued my martial arts training out of fear. The dragon-like beings we saw 30 years ago. They were not divine beings, but humans who achieved such states through cultivation. Even more unbelievable was that these beings are still struggling to ascend to higher realms, where even more terrifying beings exist. However, I was a witness to such unbelievable tales myself, so I couldn't simply dismiss it as a joke. I knew my colleagues had become formidable beings, but I hadn't realized the extent. They were becoming truly terrifying entities. The more I learned about cultivators, the more I realized how insignificant the power we had acquired was. No matter how high our martial arts become, cultivators were monsters who could move mountains and alter landscapes. No matter how many times I undergo regression, I could never reach the level of a cultivator. Cultivators require a spiritual root to begin their journey, something those without it can never achieve. Regression might not end with this life, but I don't know. I just thought of it as another chance at life and lived my best. Even if there's another life after this, we can never stand against cultivators. The more I interacted with cultivators and delved into ancient texts about them, the more powerless I felt. Amidst the feelings of powerlessness and pressure, I continued to train in martial arts. Swinging a sword with my aging body somehow cleared my mind a bit. Thus, another 10 years passed. Sigh. As I performed the severing mountain swordsmanship and regulated my breath, I had barely managed to reach the level of a second-tier martial artist. Around that time, I encountered my changed brother again. Hyungnim, the man I met after a long time, looked like a wild hermit, with long, unkempt hair and a bushy beard. It's been a while, Eunhyun. Yes, it's been years since we last saw each other. We've only been in touch through letters. Did the information I sent about the cultivation world help you? It did somewhat. Were you able to develop a martial art to defeat the cultivators? I've completed the martial art I had been conceptualizing. Wow, I gasped in awe. If a martial arts genius like him said so, it meant his martial arts could definitely confront cultivators. Surely, your martial arts must have transcended the heavens. No. His face, however, bore an unusually somber look. My martial arts can only go this far. What do you mean? I've come to bid you farewell today. Hyungnim, his face, once filled with pride and hope, was now completely shrouded in darkness. Today, I'm going to join a cultivation sect as a disciple, probably starting from the very bottom. No, what do you mean? For the past 10 years, using information about cultivators, I sought them out, fought them, and developed martial arts to counter them. And then, I met a being known as a core formation cultivator. His story continued. After fighting him and unleashing all my insights, I managed to sever the core formation cultivator's left hand. But he simply attached a talisman, and his hand regrew. Right after that, I was completely toyed with by him. He said that he admired my will and would accept me into his cultivation sect. After losing to him, I realized this is the limit of what martial arts can reach. Martial arts cannot take you any higher. Whether you practice for 100 or 1,000 years, it's all the same. So now, I've decided to become a cultivator and walk a new path. Hearing his words, I felt my lips trembling. There was so much I wanted to say, but nothing I could say. Then, a rather foolish question escaped my lips. Isn't it impossible to become a cultivator without a spiritual root? The core formation cultivator said. To my foolish question, came a shocking reply. The stage of 5 energies converging to the origin that martial artists achieve corresponds to the 5 elements spiritual root that cultivators are born with. Precisely, when a mortal achieves the 5 energies converging to the origin through martial arts, they awaken the spiritual root. Qualities that cultivators are born with. Mortals can only awaken through a lifetime of martial arts exploration. He looked up at the sky with a bleak expression. I was a genius of martial arts, but only of martial arts. After staring at the sky for a while, he got up. I must go now, to pursue a higher realm. Having finished speaking, Young-hoon, my brother, vanished using a movement technique. A book was left in his place. I picked up the book he left behind with a dazed expression. The title was Record of Transcending Cultivation and Exhausting Martial Arts. It was the martial art he developed while seeking out cultivators for the past decade. as I read each page of his insights. Frankly, to me, barely hanging on as a second-tier martial artist, it seemed like grasping at straws. Yet, I could feel his emotions as he left this martial art, and his resolve to give up this path and become a cultivator. The preface of the book contained his request to me. Junior brother Seo Eunhyun, please pass on this martial art to future generations, making it a lifeline for them to survive in front of the natural disasters known as cultivators. I read and reread his insights, engraving them in my mind. Though I couldn't understand it no matter how many times I read it. I did it to feel his last will. Hyungnim, you left me behind. Where are you going? At first, he was just my boss. But over 40 years, he had become my true brother. From that day on, I continued my training even more diligently, desperately trying to understand even a bit of the knowledge he had left behind. However, my aging body gradually became weaker. Over the years, I managed to reach the level of a second-tier martial artist, no longer just clinging to this rank by a thread. But from that point on, my body rapidly declined due to inevitable aging. Coughing on my ornate bed, I thought, how ironic. It's been nearly 50 years since I came to this world. Similar to my past life, here I am lying in bed, dying of a similar illness. The only difference is the bed and the size of the house. It seems one's destiny cannot be changed. I'm going to die on the same day, from the same cause. As death draws near, I can feel it. This is fate. No matter how hard a human being tries, they cannot escape their destiny. They can only comply. Frantic struggles can make life a bit better, a bit more enjoyable. But one's innate fortune and destiny cannot be changed. If being human means floundering between luck and destiny, then we can only gain something within that space. Anything beyond that is unattainable. But was it really so? As I feel my life draining away, I slowly close my eyes. I didn't want to feel the regrets of my past life. In this given time, I lived as hard as I could. But in retrospect, could I really not go beyond my destiny? Sometimes I wonder, maybe if I had struggled a little more, pushed a little harder, I could have reached further. I spent a lifetime with Younghoon Hyungnim reaching the position of the chief strategist of the Wallin Alliance. I grasped all the wealth and honor one could feel in the human world. Now, all that's left is my impending death. Do I regret it? This life was not regrettable. In fact, it was more than fulfilling. If there was one thing I regret, it's regrettable that I couldn't do anything when someone trying to leap to greater heights faced an even greater wall. I am utterly ordinary, except for having undergone one cycle of return. In terms of martial arts, I'm rather untalented. An ordinary person like me, next to someone blessed with heavenly talent, couldn't witness him surpassing the heavens. Yes, not seeing what lies beyond the heavens was my only regret. On a cold but not too chilly winter day, I lay in bed, wrapping up a persistent life where I did everything I could for 50 years. That was my second return. Chapter 6, Second Cycle's First Day. Blink. Blink. I can breathe again. It's not the body that was losing life force anymore. Life force is overflowing throughout my body. This is the familiar forest. I knew what had happened. I had regressed again. So regression wasn't just a one-time thing. Up until now, I had treated regression as a miraculous opportunity given to me, living faithfully. Although I had acquired the ability to regress, I didn't know the principles behind it, nor did I know how many times it could happen. But now I've undergone regression twice. Regression is not the end. Then there's a high probability that this won't be the end either. Infinite regression? While I was lost in thought, Section Chief John Myung-hoon, in his usual manner, was angrily charging at me. Deputy Manager CO, you bastard. Swoosh. Wish. I easily dodged John Myung-hoon's attempt to hit my cheek as he rushed towards me. He dodged. Swish. Swoosh. John Myung-hoon, enraged, charged at me again, but I continued to dodge his attacks easily while lost in my thoughts. Why did I regress? I looked blankly at John Myung-hoon, who was charging at me. In the last life, I had lived really hard, really faithfully. I lived a satisfying life and died peacefully. There might have been a bit of regret, but I never wanted more than that. Why did I regress? A body brimming with vitality. A new opportunity one had gained. Surely it was something good. But what about everything I achieved over 50 years? Now, it's nowhere to be found. Unrecoverable. That's right. By regressing, everything I had built up over 50 years was gone, vanished. This Deputy Manager CO, you bastard. What are you doing? How dare you keep dodging? John Myung-hoon, in his audacious manner, yelled and charged at me. I stepped aside easily, dodging his punch, and continued to ponder. But it feels familiar. What is this familiar feeling? Ah, I see. Right. I might have been unconsciously afraid of a day like today. Regression. Certainly, it was a miraculous opportunity, a second chance. But, paradoxically, I feared losing that time period through another regression. That familiar feeling. It was because the fear I had was now realized in front of me. Even if I was given another chance, Was it right to erase that time period? I lived my life with no shame, but everything I lived for was erased by regression. That's right. Maybe. In my last life too, I was unconsciously afraid of this power. No, I'm sure I was scared of it. Realizing that this regression ability was not a one-time thing, my fear only grew. Or should I say, it became certain. This power, it negates my entire life. If this regression was the end, I could go in peace. But what if it's not? What if my regression continues forever? My entire life will be negated, and those I knew will be forever trapped in the cycle of time. That's right. I had found the true source of my regret. No, my fear. It stemmed from the very power of regression itself. Then, how should I overcome this power of regression? I have to eliminate the regression ability. This power shouldn't exist. I set a long-term goal for this life, and for the countless lives to come. I'll eliminate my regression ability, or ensure it never activates again. That's the long-term goal I will pursue. For that, first, I need to find out the origin of this regression ability. Back on Earth, none of us had any special constitution or power. All 7 of us developed such abilities only after coming to this world, so it's likely they originated here. I used to think these powers could have existed on Earth as well, but now I'm sure they didn't. It doesn't make sense. If there were innate superpowers like calling rain and wind, and sensing things kilometers away, then Deputy Manager O and Manager Kim wouldn't have needed to work at our company. Then, the greatest possibility to eliminate the regression ability might be returning to our original world. I further specified my goal within my long-term objective. First, let's aim to return home. But how do we return home? First of all, my current abilities won't do. With my mere mortal abilities, I can't attempt anything. I need to grow stronger. Being a second-tier warrior isn't enough. I must become a cultivator. I need to become a cultivator. Yes, become a cultivator to gain long life and power. I must investigate the Ascension Gate that leads to the higher realms. When the Ascension Gate opens, the space in this Ascension Path region becomes unstable. Then our falling into this world might also be related to it. Maybe through the Ascension Gate, I could return to my original world. Become a cultivator, then head to the Ascension Gate. Thus, I was able to further specify my goal. But to become a cultivator, one needs a spiritual root. Without it, a common mortal can never become a cultivator. However, I have once touched the threshold of a spiritual root. In my past life, Younghoon Hyungnim had told me, the state of 5 energies converging to the origin, achievable through martial arts by a mortal, corresponds to the 5 elements spiritual root inherent in a cultivator at birth. Reaching 5 energies converging to the origin, even a common mortal can awaken their spiritual root. Right? My long-term goal is to become a cultivator, reach the Ascension Gate, find a way back home, and eliminate my regression ability. You, Huff. How? How can he be so fast? This bastard. And for a short-term goal, to gain a spiritual root necessary to become a cultivator, I have to practice martial arts to reach the state of 5 energies converging to the origin. I guess. I sighed. It's a tremendously difficult condition. Already lacking talent in martial arts. Who knows how long it will take me to reach 5 energies converging to the origin. Ironically, I have to rely on my regression ability to eliminate it. I don't feel desperate as long as I have the regression ability. I have infinite opportunities. No matter how long it takes, I will definitely reach 5 energies converging to the origin. I firmly resolved, setting the direction for my future. Finally snapping out of my thoughts, I looked at John Myung-hoon, who was gasping and sitting in front of me. Section Chief John, calm down. What's the use of getting angry in this situation? You bastard. You don't even know what you did wrong. Certainly, Section Chief John dumped all your work on me the day before, forcing me to stay up all night before the workshop. You were also supposed to drive, weren't you? Even though you knew I was sleepy, you stopped me from asking others to drive. More so, during the landslide, I did everything I could. It just happened so fast that I couldn't do anything more. Don't try to shift the blame onto me with your irrational logic, and think about what to do next. I let it all out like a waterfall, and then walked past John Myung-hoon towards Younghoon Hyungnim. Hyungnim, no, Director Kim Young-hoon. Sorry to bother you, but may I borrow your lighter? Alright. Thanks. It looks like it'll be night soon, so I'll find a place to stay for the night. As for the others, either find the car or a way out of this forest. I'll light a fire over there, so come find me by the light when it gets dark. No. After my rapid-fire speech, I headed to the cave where I had stayed last time. Then I collected branches to make a windbreak and a door and gathered firewood for a bonfire, preparing for the night. I also gathered fruits and herbs from nearby to cook over the fire. Sizzling sounds filled the air. I tore my underwear to make a pouch for collecting herbs and gathered herbs like hemostatic, pain-relieving, and paralyzing herbs around the base, preparing for the fox that might come to bite my arm tomorrow. The fruits are ripe. I took the roasted fruits from under the fire, cooled them down, peeled them, and started eating. Not bad. After filling my stomach, I picked a suitable branch and held it like a sword. Severing mountain swordsmanship. My last life. My first regression. The martial art perfectly suited to my body, created by Young-hoon Hyung-nim with his overflowing talent. Whoosh whoosh. I held the sword and swung, practicing the first to 12 forms of severing mountain swordsmanship in sequence. I've lost some touch. In my last life, just before death, I couldn't even lift a sword properly to practice swordsmanship. Consequently, my swordsmanship regressed to barely clinging to second rate. Still, if I focus on training for about a month, I should be able to regain the feel for it. My internal energy should also be sufficient, considering the spiritual medicines scattered throughout Ascension Path. How far can I grow in this life? This time, I've decided not to participate in ridiculous ventures like the Walleen Alliance. It consumes too much of my personal time. I was so consumed by work that I couldn't even visit brothels, let alone meet women. This life, I'll focus on martial arts. To become a cultivator, I first need to reach 5 energies converging to the origin and awaken a spiritual root. But with my limited talent in martial arts, reaching that state seems far off. My immediate goal is to maximize my martial arts ability. After practicing severing mountain swordsmanship, I started activating the dantian of my untrained body by breathing according to the Chanji heart method. Using the breathing technique made me feel purified and cleared my mind. Wait a minute. I suddenly recalled the martial art completed by Young-hoon Hyung-nim in my last life. Record of surpassing cultivation and exhausting martial arts. The martial art created to confront cultivators with a mortal body. Young-hoon Hyung-nim devoted his entire life to creating this martial art. It was a martial art created after he became a supreme master. What if he learned this martial art right from the beginning? In my last life, I advanced Young-hoon Hyung-nim's birth as the strongest under the heavens by 40 years by teaching him advanced martial arts. Then, what if he learns the martial art he spent his life contemplating right from the beginning? I remembered the final time I saw Young-hoon Hyung-nim. Although I've set a goal to learn martial arts to obtain a spiritual root to become a cultivator, perhaps he could present another possibility to me. Thud, thud. Outside the cave, I heard footsteps of others who had seen the fire I lit and came to find it. Haha, Deputy Manager Seo. You're quite capable. When did you make this? Young-hoon Hyung-nim. Director Kim Young-hoon was the first to enter the cave. I approached him, returned the lighter, and asked casually, Director, I know some health exercises and breathing techniques. With the tension in this situation, would you mind practicing with me? Chapter 7, Heaven Sent Talent 1. In this situation, I'm not interested in that. Ah yes. Young-hoon Hyung-nim seemed more concerned about our current situation than my breathing and health exercises and didn't show much interest in them. It can't be helped. There's plenty of time. The next day, I encountered the fox, and as it happened, it bit off one of my arms. The pain was still similar, but this time, with increased mental strength and the medical knowledge accumulated in my past life, I managed to stop the bleeding and pain by pressing on the acupoints and applying chewed herbs to the wound. We were granted the right to reside on the land by the fox. John Myung-hoon, as in the previous life, schemed and, after learning everything from me, proposed to offer me to the fox. Like my previous life, I made John Myung-hoon work hard, and the next day, I made him offer blood to the snake, tormenting him diligently. On the third day, the same people as last time came and kidnapped Section Chief Oh Hyun-suk, Deputy Manager Kong Min-hee, and Section Chief John Myung-hoon. On the fourth day, I will take this lady with me. Sea Dragon King Seo Huiol arrived and picked up Deputy Manager Oh. May I ask a question to Sea Dragon King? What is it? Seo Huiol looked at me with interest and asked. It seems that you are taking our Deputy Manager Oh with you. However, she is a mortal without a spiritual root and cannot live more than 100 years. How do you intend to use her? Haha. You are quite knowledgeable about immortal cultivation for a mortal. But no worries. I shall give her my blood, transforming her into a member of the Sea Dragon clan. Once she accepts the blood of my clan, she will awaken a suitable spiritual quality. Then she too can walk the path of immortality. Exclamation point. Spiritual quality. Another term for spiritual root. In other words, by accepting Sea Dragon King's blood, one could become a cultivator instantly. Perhaps, could you also give us a chance? She is from the same homeland as us. Maybe we too have unique abilities. Haha, your words have merit. Suddenly, at my suggestion, Seo Huiol's eyes narrowed like those of a reptile. The Ascension Gate will open soon, and many high-level cultivators will pass through this Dangxianhyang region. Just a word of caution. Boom, boom, boom. Arg. Ugh. I collapsed, clutching my chest. It's best not to express your opinions carelessly before a high-level being like me. We live for hundreds and thousands of years, seeing things you cannot imagine, knowing things you cannot understand, and gaining wisdom you cannot achieve. I am lenient. but others with a temper might find even your mere gaze offensive and crush you like insects. Hugh huff. My intention to take this lady is because I believe her abilities will be enormously beneficial to my clan. You lack spiritual roots and unique abilities, and even if not, they won't be as helpful as hers. Besides, carrying more people through the Ascension Gate increases its difficulty, so I won't take you. Know that it's a significant burden for me. Having finished speaking, he walked towards the cave entrance. Crash. Boom. With a thunderous noise and flash of lightning, he disappeared from the entrance. Above the sky, a blue dragon pierced through the stormy clouds and flew leisurely. What just happened? Young-hoon Hyungnim and Manager Kim stared at the sky in dismay. That evening, I picked some special mushrooms, roasted them over the fire, and enjoyed a last meal with Manager Kim. Then, after she awakened her abilities, a ghastly figure arrived on a cloud, just like in my previous life. As before, the figure decided to take Manager Kim with him. I prostrated before the figure and asked, "Respected cultivator, our colleague Manager Kim is a mortal without a spiritual root. How can she become a disciple of a cultivator like you?" The old man with a hunched back chuckled and replied, "While rare in the secular world, there are spiritual medicines and artifacts that can open the spiritual channel for a mortal. Even an ordinary mortal can embark on the path of immortality if they get hold of such an opportunity." Exclamation point. Shocked by the revelation, I trembled. There's another way to become a cultivator. Well, additionally, the martial arts practiced by you mortals can indeed awaken the 5 elements spiritual root if refined to the extreme, but that path takes too much time. Even if you awaken your spiritual roots through this method, the result is not always satisfactory. So, I will seek a spiritual elixir to feed my disciple. You understand, don't you? Follow me, and you will become a cultivator. As he spoke, he naturally turned his gaze to Manager Kim, trying to entice her. However, being unaware of what a cultivator, spiritual root, or spiritual channel meant, she just stared blankly at him. After a brief altercation, the hunchbacked old man pointed towards us. Whoosh! A dark rift opened in the space behind us, and it started pulling me and Young-hoon Hyungnim in. I gathered herbs, while Young-hoon Hyungnim, attempting to escape, was eventually caught by the power of the ghastly figure and thrown beyond. As the spatial rift closed, the last thing I saw was Manager Kim reaching out to us, before I lost consciousness, just like in my previous life. When I became conscious, I was in a dark cave. This place it was the same as before. Due to the ghastly figure's random teleportation, a minor butterfly effect had dropped us somewhere completely different. I slowly walked towards the light at the end of the cave. It's a forest. Indeed, this time, we had landed in a dense forest. But without the peculiar feeling of Dangxianhyang, I could tell we were definitely outside of it. Sigh. I sat down and practiced the Chanji Heart method I had used for the past 3 days. Chanji Heart method is a fundamental method to activate the Dantian and feel and control Qi. It's a basic practice that most martial artists learn before starting serious martial arts training. I don't know where this place is. It could be a completely different place, not Yinghua, and it might take days or even weeks to find a populated area. Chew, chew, chew. I chewed and swallowed an 800-year-old yellow bamboo root I had dug up in Dangxianhyang. Whoosh! Powerful energy surged through my Dantian. In my past life, even though I had these roots, I couldn't consume them because the only internal energy method I knew was the Chanji Heart method. But now it's different. I have learned many useful internal energy methods as the chief strategist of the Wulin Alliance for decades. I practiced the internal energy method tailored for me by Young-hoon Hyungnim in my past life, perfectly complementing the Severing Mountain swordsmanship. Dragon Vein Qi method. A majestic energy melded with my inner energy. Controlling the powerful energy was challenging due to its intensity. But I had practiced the same method for over 40 years. I recreated the pathways of the Dragon Vein Qi method, which I had used for more than 40 years, through the meridians and acupoints. Boom, boom, boom. I cleared the blocked channels, and the energy circulated through my body. Although I had purified my body to some extent with the Chanji Heart method for over 2 days, my current body, tainted with instant food and nicotine, struggled to clear the channels. Sigh. After a moderate circulation, I broke off a suitable branch nearby and started sharpening it with a sharp rock infused with my internal energy. As I infused the branch internal energy and executed the Severing Mountain swordsmanship, it penetrated an old tree, cutting it in half. This should be enough to survive in the mountains for a few days. In a world not infested with monsters and spirits like Dangxianhyang, my swordsmanship, barely clinging to the 2nd level, was enough for survival. Then, Young-hoon Hyungnim, or rather, Director Kim Young-hoon, approached me in a panic. CO, Deputy Manager CO, what was that just now? What happened? How did you cut the tree with a wooden sword? And that strength? About that. After a moment's thought, I gave him a plausible explanation. It's a stroke of fate. Fate. Yes, inside that cave, I found a mysterious book. When I picked it up, it burned, and its contents and energy merged with me. It seems to be a strange object created by a martial artist using the power of a cultivator to pass on his martial arts to his successors. Thanks to that, I have become the successor of that martial art. Oh wow. Though it was an unbelievable tale, he seemed to accept it, having experienced too many unbelievable things in the last 4 days. In this situation, where we've fallen into another world, faced a fox as big as a house, been attacked by flying ghastly figures, and even fallen into a dark spatial rift, what's not to believe? I inwardly chuckled and explained the situation to Director Kim Young-hoon. We were randomly transported by the hunchbacked old man to an entirely different place. Since there were no houses nearby, we had to keep moving until we found a village. There seems to be martial arts in this world, so I'll teach you, etc. Director Kim Young-hoon didn't look too despairing, especially after hearing, I'll teach you martial arts. I taught him the Chanji heart method, basic vocabulary of this world, primary acupoints, and left the forest together. By observing the constellations in the night sky, I deduced our location and managed to reach a nearby city. It's Yangwa again. I arrived at one of Yangwa's cities, Yonggil City, feeling a strange sensation. The ghastly figure randomly throws us around. But the randomness seems to be confined to Yangwa. There are many neighboring countries like Shengzi Kingdom, Biokra Country, etc. It didn't seem like the hunchbacked figure particularly cared about us. So why keep dropping us only within Yangwa? Is there a reason for this? Or is it just chance? If this is just a coincidence, fate. I somehow felt more inclined to believe in the word fate than any specific reason. In my last life, I died on the exact same day and time as before my regression. Does that make sense? I had lived a completely different life, with completely different medical and nutritional standards. Yet, I died at the exact same moment as before my regression. Was that my allotted lifespan? Maybe my fate was set to that point. Fate. It's a metaphysical concept, something I'd rather not think about. But maybe, the concept of fate truly exists, driving all beings. For now, it's not something I can know. I shook my head and entered the city with Director Kim Young-hoon. I sold the herbs at a nearby pharmacy, used the money to buy identification plaques, clothes, and a house. Now that I've settled the basics, it's time to set short-term goals again. Initially, I aimed for the 5 energies converging to the origin as a short-term goal. Reaching that state is necessary to awaken the 5 elements spiritual root and learn cultivation methods to become a cultivator. But I might not reach that state in this life. In my past life, even though I had followed Young-hoon Hyung-nim and somewhat distorted my sense of power, reaching the peak stage was not easy. The same was true for 3 flowers gather at the summit and 5 energies converging to the origin. It's challenging to cross each stage even within the peak, and that was the general opinion of typical peak experts. Moreover, I lack talent in martial arts. Even with considerable effort, it might be difficult to reach even the first-rate expert level in this lifetime. So, the best course of action is, I watched Director Kim Young-hoon in the backyard of our new house, practicing a version of the Severing Mountain swordsmanship he had modified into a sword dance. If practiced correctly, the Severing Mountain swordsmanship could reach the peak level within 6 months, according to Young-hoon Hyung-nim in my past life. Raise Kim Young-hoon Hyung-nim, no, Director Kim, to the peak level as quickly as possible, and then learn from him. That was the fastest way for me to reach the peak. Chapter 8, Heaven Sent Talent, 2. 4 months later, Director Kim Young-hoon smoothly reached the pinnacle realm. Chew, chew, chew. After consuming the yellow bamboo root I gave him, he sat cross-legged and began circulating his chi. Whoosh. As he did so, the phenomenon of 3 flowers gather at the summit occurred above his head, marking his attainment of peak expert status. Haha, the world looks completely different now. Your talent is truly remarkable every time I see it. Originally, it would take Director Kim Young-hoon around 6 to 7 months to reach the peak. However, learning the Severing Mountain swordsmanship, a first-rate martial art from the beginning, seemed to lower the difficulty of reaching the peak. He achieved it 2 months earlier than I expected. Moreover, while practicing the Severing Mountain swordsmanship, he even developed a new martial art named Severing Vein Saber Method, modifying all the sword forms of the original method into saber techniques. Anyone would be astounded by his martial prowess. That's right. Even I find myself quite extraordinary. I have something to give to you, Director. Admiring his incredible talent, I took out a book from my possession and handed it to him. Record of Transcending Cultivation and Exhausting Martial Arts. It was a martial art against cultivators, created by Director Kim Young-hoon in my past life after reaching 5 energies converging to the origin, dedicating his remaining life to it. I had reorganized it into book form during these 4 months he was training to reach the peak. I found this martial art book in a bookstore. The owner claimed it was an incredible martial arts manual, but I couldn't understand a single word. Thinking I was scammed, I came to you for advice. Let's see. I handed him the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. After a while, his eyes widened. I could feel him trembling. What is this? What kind of martial art is this? I don't know. Ah, I see. That makes sense. Director Kim Young-hoon pressed his head hard, explaining to me. This is a martial arts manual that can only be understood by those who have reached the peak. No, those who have attained 3 flowers gather at the summit beyond the pinnacle. It's terrifying. I never knew such a martial philosophy existed. Anyone who can master this art can surely become the greatest under the heavens. You've brought another incredible stroke of fate. Haha, I thought I was scammed because it sounded too fantastical. But about 3 flowers gather at the summit. Isn't that the same level as the pinnacle realm? A martial arts manual that only those who have reached beyond the pinnacle can understand? Ah, seeing me reach the pinnacle realm must have confused you. But even I know I'm an exceptional case. There are stages in the peak, early, middle, and late. 3 flowers gather at the summit is a state that only those who have reached the late stage of the pinnacle realm can realize. I see. This was news to me. Oddly, even though I had risen to the position of chief strategist in the Wooling Alliance in my past life, I never had access to information above first class. According to martial standards, the levels of martial artists were classified as first, second, and third. Anyone who begins learning martial arts is considered third-rate. Those who have learned at least one martial technique or internal energy method and can utilize them in combat are early third-rate. Those who have learned both martial techniques and internal energy are mid-third-rate. Those who have mastered both and can use them simultaneously are late third-rate. Using both martial techniques and internal energy simultaneously is incredibly challenging. Mismanaging internal energy can lead to immense pain or mental derangement. There's no room for error. I remember it felt like splitting my head in two when I first learned martial arts. Those who overcome these difficulties and become skilled in martial arts are considered early second-rate. Those who can use both martial techniques and internal energy in combat without awkwardness are mid-second-rate. Those who can do so without conscious thought, having these abilities ingrained, are late second-rate. Over the past few months, I managed to reclaim the mid-second-rate prowess I had in my previous life. I'm about to reach late second-rate soon. Crossing the threshold of martial arts proficiency and achieving completion marks the first-rate stage. When martial techniques and internal energy become fully integrated into one's body, achieving freedom within martial arts, that's early first-rate. Reaching a level where the essence of martial arts is realized, refining chi usage and being able to project sword energy is mid-first-rate. When one's martial prowess and intent fully merge, achieving the pinnacle of swordsmanship known as the unity of sword and body, shortening both the time to manifest and prepare sword energy, is referred to as the late first-rate. Such information, spanning from early third-rate to late first-rate, was all gathered in my past life when I served as a strategist in the Martial Alliance. However, information regarding the pinnacle realm was tightly guarded. Even Young-hoon, a close associate, would awkwardly smile and evade the question when I inquired. Is it because it's impossible to comprehend unless experienced? Even those who reached the extreme of late first-rate would occasionally hint at it, but no martial artist at the pinnacle realm ever disclosed detailed information about the pinnacle realm. By the way, Director Kim, could you possibly explain what the pinnacle realm is like? Curious, I asked Kim Young-hoon about the pinnacle realm, but he just awkwardly laughed, giving the same response as in my previous life. Sorry, but you wouldn't understand even if I told you. I'm not making fun of you. Having premature knowledge of the peak could lead to dangerous delusions and madness. The world we see is entirely different from yours. He apologized and shifted the conversation. Now that I've reached the peak, I think I'll go around challenging sects to gauge my skills. Will you join me? Sure, why not? A month later, Kim Young-hoon had taken down the signboards of every small and mid-sized martial arts school in Yonggyeol City. In my previous life, the capital, Seokyeong, had 7 large factions, the 4 stars 3 demons. However, most cities had 1 or at most 2 large factions. Yonggyeol City had 1 large faction, Chao River Sect. Since Kim Young-hoon had already taken down the signboards of all the smaller schools, Chao River Sect was tense even before our challenge. It's an honor to meet the famous warrior Young. Arriving at Chao River Sect, the sect leader personally greeted us. 53 small schools, 32 mid-sized schools, 11 mid-sized sects, a total of 96 signboards taken by a grand master like you. It's an honor. I did not intend to challenge so many schools. Kim Young-hoon modestly spoke to the sect master. If there had been even one worthy opponent, a draw, or a defeat, I would have stopped. Not a single one was a match for you. Indeed, after reaching the peak with the severing vein saber method and awakening his latent talent, Kim Young-hoon mastered record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts. None of the 96 sects in Yonggyeol City could withstand even 3 moves from him. I hope the Chao River sect will be different. Haha, surely. Our faction is filled with remarkable masters, fitting for Warrior Young's level. Following the sect leader, we headed to Chao River sect's arena. The challenge was a 3-round match. 3 of Chao River sect's best would face Kim Young-hoon, and if he defeated all 3, he'd take Chao River sect's signboard. A daunting challenge format for Kim Young-hoon. Hahaha, no matter. Confidence filled Kim Young-hoon's eyes. With record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, I'm invincible. Since learning it, I've become an adult, and others mere toddlers. Why should I fear 3 toddlers coming at me? The 3-round challenge at Chao River sect began. The first challenger was Chao River sect's sect leader. I didn't expect you to come out first. Chao River sect's sect leader, Munye-ke, replied with a wry smile. No one among our elders or the best of Yonggyeol City's mid-tier schools can withstand you for 3 moves. Surely, you're a top master even among those at the peak. Chao River sect's elders council will face you. The gong for the start of the match sounded. Munye-ke, Chao River sect's sect leader, was a renowned peak master in the city. Even the top masters from 11 mid-tier sects who were quickly defeated by Kim Young-hoon were considered inferior to Munye-ke. I watched the duel between the 2 masters, curious about the outcome. Swish. Kim Young-hoon drew his saber. Munye-ke also unsheathed his flexible sword. Attack. Kim Young-hoon charged first, straight at the sect leader. As Munye-ke swung his flexible sword, it seemed to encircle Kim Young-hoon from all sides. Wham! But then, Kim Young-hoon's body split into 7 shadows, each darting towards the weakest points of Munye-ke's sword barrier. Determined not to let the shadows escape, sect leader Munye-ke chased after the illusions with his soft sword, like a snake pursuing its prey. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. His soft sword split into thousands of strands, seemingly slicing through the illusions. However, not one of the illusions was the real body, and in the enclosure created by the soft sword, the shadows of Kim Young-hoon vanished completely. Then it happened. Whoosh. From the sky, Director Kim Young-hoon leaped down, rotating in the air and charging towards the sect leader. Leaving 7 illusions below, his real body had leapt up into the air. Gasp. Swoosh. The blade of his saber touched the throat of Munye-ke. Ding. It was a victory for Director Kim Young-hoon. The move he used to win only took 2 seconds. Will the challenger continue the consecutive battles? The elder conducting the martial arts contest asked with a stern face. Director Kim Young-hoon, without even stepping down from the arena, nodded his head. The next opponent was a bald, old man with a white beard. I am Ik-cheon-bae, a grand elder of Chao River sect, currently a member of the Elders' Council. He introduced himself briefly and took his stance. Ding! The bell rang again, and this time, it was Elder Ik-cheon-bae who charged towards Director Kim Young-hoon. Chatter! He too wielded a soft sword as his weapon. But, ding! He too could not last more than 10 seconds before having to kneel before Director Kim Young-hoon. He lasted over 3 seconds. It was a testament to his immense strength that he managed to withstand Director Kim Young-hoon, who had mastered the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, for over 3 seconds. Yet, Director Kim Young-hoon looked slightly disappointed. Shall we continue the consecutive battles? The elder running the contest now had a face resembling sour grapes. Let's continue. The final opponent in the series of 3 battles was an old man in plain martial clothes, with a long beard and white hair. I am Pal Jiktae, the Supreme Elder of Chao River Sect, and the current head of the Elders' Council. I see you've made it past the 3rd. Only then did Director Kim Young-hoon's eyes light up with interest at the sight of the old man, known as the Supreme Elder of Chao River Sect. A master of 3 flowers gather at the summit. This is the first time I've seen someone of this level in this city. It's rare for people to reach the 3rd. The vast majority live their lives only in red and blue. It's been a long time since I've met a master like you. How many other masters of 3 flowers have you met? Mostly 1 per major faction's Elders' Council. There are 1 or 2 in the wilderness too. If you're curious, travel around the cities of Yinghua and visit the major factions. I hear you've been challenging the mid-level factions. Keep in mind that those little fish won't help you much at our level. I appreciate the advice, senior. 3rd, red and blue. I pondered over the hints dropped by the old man. Why is 3 flowers referred to as the 3rd? What are red and blue? Looking around, the other disciples and elders of Chao River Sect seemed just as puzzled by the situation, staring blankly at the arena. But the sect leader and elders who had been defeated by Kim Young-hoon and stepped down from the arena looked on in astonishment. It seems impossible to understand unless one is a peak master. Then it happened. Gasping for breath, Pal Jiktae suddenly exclaimed, sweating profusely. What kind of martial art have you mastered? This martial art is called Record of Transcending Cultivation and Exhausting Martial Arts. Record of Transcending Cultivation and Exhausting Martial Arts. I've never seen such a monstrous martial art in my life. Is it really meant for fighting humans? What's going on? There was no clash, was there? Director Kim Young-hoon smiled wryly and said, I will let you take the lead. I am envious. To be able to learn such a terrifying martial art that can overturn Xia River Sect's 300 years of history in one go. Finishing his words, Pal Jiktae adjusted his stance. Whoosh. Pal Jiktae swung his soft sword, launching an attack. The soft sword whistled through the air, surrounding Director Kim Young-hoon on all sides. It appeared to be the same technique used by Mun Yik at first. However, Director Kim Young-hoon didn't create illusions this time. Instead, he focused on the only open space, the sky above, and leaped into the air with his saber. Swoosh. Just then, the tip of Pal Jiktae's soft sword shot towards the sky like an arrow. Whoosh. Clang. Director Kim Young-hoon twisted his body in midair, deflecting the tip of the soft sword and escaping its enclosure. The next moment, he charged at Pal Jiktae like a bolt of lightning, swinging his saber. Boom. A massive explosion split the ground of the martial arts field. Their weapons collided in midair, sparking flames. For a moment, I lost sight of both of them. Bang, bang, bang. With explosive sounds, Director Kim Young-hoon's figure briefly appeared. It seemed like he was thrusting his saber, but Pal Jiktae, almost imperceptible to the eye, dodged all the thrusts and exchanged blows with Kim Young-hoon. Boom. Pal Jiktae's soft sword explosion blew up a corner of the martial arts field. Clang. Director Kim Young-hoon's flurry of saber energy shattered the bell beside the arena. The elder judging the contest gasped in horror and rolled away to dodge the energy. Boom. Director Kim Young-hoon stepped forward 3 times, charging at Pal Jiktae. In those 3 steps, his stance seemed to change over 10 times. But the transitions were so fast it was hard to follow with the eyes. It felt more like a video screen stuttering. Damn. Peak Masters are indeed monsters. It was the same in my past life. As a close aide to the Wallin Alliance leader, I had the opportunity to see Peak Masters fight a few times. I couldn't understand a thing back then, either. Fortunately, having seen many fights then, I could at least follow with my eyes now. But other disciples, instructors, and guardians of Xia River Sect who seemed to be at a similar level to me were simply staring blankly at the arena, their eyes glazed. None of them could follow the movements of the 2 masters. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Pal Jiktae's soft sword cut through the air, undergoing 3 changes in the sky. Yet, curiously, with every shift he made, Pal Jiktae's body sustained slashes, and marks from the saber emerged. With each of his 3 changes packed into one technique, Director Kim Young-hoon struck 3 times. And finally, swoosh, clang. Director Kim Young-hoon's saber cut through Pal Jiktae's soft sword. The soft sword fell outside the arena, severed. Swoosh. Director Kim Young-hoon's saber touched Pal Jiktae's neck, who sighed in defeat. I accept my defeat. I'll remove the signboard of Xia River Sect. Our faction will close its doors for 3 years. I have witnessed that no martial art in Yangyeol City can match that of Xia River Sect. It was a duel from which I too learned much. The 2 martial artists respectfully bowed to each other and stepped down from the arena. Let's go back, Seo Eun-hyun. Have you grasped how far your skills extend? It's not my skill. Director Kim Young-hoon's expression seemed somewhat gloomy. Record of Transcending Cultivation and Exhausting Martial Arts. I merely adopted the forms of this martial art as instructed. I haven't fully mastered this martial art, haven't gained freedom within it, nor grasped the intent. This martial art, whoever created it, I don't know, but I haven't surpassed the intentions of its creator. The deeper I delve into and execute this martial art, the more I feel how much of a novice I am compared to its creator. I was at a loss for words, watching him be self-critical and gloomy about his own martial art. Today's battle showed me how insignificant my skills are. As the senior advised, I will travel to various cities and seek out peak masters for duels. Will you join me? Of course. I had already decided to dedicate this life solely to the martial path. I will follow you, Hyung-nim, in my quest to become a peak master. Haha, I look forward to it. But Hyung-nim, you say? I'm a bit embarrassed. There's not much age difference between us. Huh, isn't it better for people from the same hometown to address each other as brothers? In this life, I will surely become a peak master.